Let me show these suckers how to ball out here. Oh, man, let's get this together here. Oh, layup. Oh, shot. Oh, three. Oh, it's like Brick City out here. Mid-range. Oh, my goodness. I can't buy a bucket out here. I missed the whole damn basket. Oh, my goodness. What's going on, man? My game is looking trash. Oh, here we go. Black Power Media shirt. Now we cooking. Trees. I'm taking on three of y'all with these right here. Between the legs. Oh, my goodness. Behind the back. Layup. Oh, did he just do a reverse? He is in beast mode out here. I ain't got to look. It's falling. Oh, my goodness. This guy is going 3, 2, 1. Kobe. Nice. Black Power Media, baby. Nice. Empower yourself. Go get me some of that Black Power Media again. Right here, blackpowermedia.org. Yeah.
You got to earn your liberation.
I don't know.
All right, what's up, world? Welcome to another edition of Earn Your Liberation right here on Black Power Media. Brother Diallo Geechee, y'all. Jared Ball in the building. Remixers coming in. Like, share, subscribe. Join BPM's Patreon. The link is in the show description. All links have been updated and checked and verified. They all work. So click them, ring the bell to make sure that you got all the notifications you need so you never miss forthcoming programming here. And fellas, what's up?
Hey.
Coolin'. How y'all feeling?
So y'all said I'm good. I don't have internet here.
Yeah. You look good.
I mean, we
man.
see and hear you.
Good, great. I guess that's all we need. I of all those days I made fun of Geechee's internet, the Lord saw fit to deprive me of my internet.
As my wife would say, "Ese fue Dios."
That's what your ass get.
That's what your ass get.
Yeah, I mean, he ain't stopping genocide, famines,
the black vernacular
abuse. He ain't stopping, but he was like, we gonna humble bro Diallo and take his internet away. You know,
Poncho, my man. Poncho's good people. I hope you're doing all as good as could be expected, my man. Welcome to everybody.
To turn his phone to landscape mode. How you turn your phone? You know,
turn it sideways.
Can I just turn it sideways and that'll?
Yep.
Hey, goddamn nerds, man.
Look at
Come
this
on,
guy.
Boomer.
But then
listen. I just want to let you know our guest.
I don't like this angle.
Morning.
This guy here.
Our special guest, as you said, Diallo would be on time.
I told you he'd be on time. This is a man.
So if you want to perform an introduction, we can bring him up and not waste anybody's time. We got a lot to get into this morning, but so folks stick around. But who do we have joining us this morning?
We have Brother Michael Long. He is of the Black Hebrew, true original Jewish tribe, descendant of Abraham. Black Hebrew Israelite who is going to give us a true Jew perspective, I suppose. So, and it's not much of an introduction, but you know, I've known the brother for years. We worked together, organized together, and have had debated. But we've always been able to maintain some type of brotherhood despite our many, you know, differences in ideology and issues of faith. So, you know, bring them in just to give us another perspective on this ancient and horrendous conflict.
Peace, brother.
Welcome. Peace. Welcome to the show.
Peace. Shalom. Salam, Hotep, all that good stuff. How y'all feeling?
Feeling good, bro. How you?
As good as could be expected.
I'm good. My internet is down, so if I start having issues, so I'm mobile. Bro Diallo, thou art loosed. I can move around.
This guy.
Yeah.
But other than that, I'm good.
All praises.
I can't find none of my stuff.
So I guess Diallo, if you started off, but maybe give us some background. Like, I don't know how much people know in terms of, especially when you think about Hebrew Israelites and in Israel or
Yes, sir.
Palestine.
Okay.
And the idea of, I think as far as I know, there was a migration or a big movement in the 60s, but I guess you can kind of like lay out, you know, what the history according to your understanding, and also like
No
how you
doubt.
feel about the conflict now.
All praise. Yes, sir. Yes,
And just
sir.
before you get started, just forget the interruption, but Diallo, I'm muting you while others are talking because we're getting an echo from you. So just or you can mute yourself if you want, but I'm just so you know what's going on.
That's fine. That's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
I know I'm over here struggling, but it's all good.
Okay. Sorry, brother. Go ahead.
Oh, good. So if we go back 6,000 plus years, you're going really to a people who are descended of Bantus called Natufians. The Natufian people were actually the indigenous people to the Levant area. Okay, the Levant area was inhabited by South African people who migrated and ended up coming through actually West Africa, from where the Afro-Asiatic language comes from, Hebrew and Proto-Canaanite being an Afro-Asiatic Bantu language, populated the Levant area and actually started to deal with the cultivation of wheat, the domestication of dogs and other animals, and eventually went from hunter-gatherers to actually a pastoralist people. This pastoralist people end up becoming who we know now as the Hebrews. Adam, or Adam as we know him, was taken from the dust of the earth, which is just a Hebrew idiom for many people, and was breathed into the breath of nostrils. He actually received a consciousness. He actually derived a consciousness that led more to of a Torah-based consciousness, which is pretty much the spiritual mind of Israel. And from Adam, you have descended, for instance, like Noah, of course, 10 generations after him, and then from there you go down to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Jacob actually becomes a nation in the country of Egypt, from which you have these African peoples. Because keep in mind, Israel is on the northern border of Egypt, or Kemet, Mitzrayim, we know it in Hebrew. So this is an African continent. It's on the African continent. It's on the tectonic plate of Africa. There's no Middle East. That's a political term, correct? And so when we deal with Israel, it tectonically is on the African continent. And so the people who inhabited Israel indigenously were African peoples. And I mean that in terms of melanated. They may not have been Hamitic, they were Shemitic. But when you look at Ham and Shem and Ham and Shem were actually heavily melanated people. Even when you read some of the texts from Talmud and you read the texts from some other writings of Mishnaic rabbis, you'll find that they understood and knew that Israel were a heavily melanated people. And so we get up into the 70s of the current era, 70, the first century, and Rome comes and actually desecrates Israel. This is where Palestine receives its name from Emperor Hadrian in 138, 139. He displaces all of the indigenous Israelites, the Judeans, the southern kingdom people, and brings in a Greco-Syrian people and renames it Syria Palestina. So this is where Palestine comes from, right? And so the Palestinians we know of today, they were African people. They were from Mitzrayim. They were an Egyptian descended people. They were dark-skinned, but today they have no appearance of these people of ancient lore and ancient years ago. And so these people today are, battling over a land that is not really even theirs. They are transplant people. But how we come into the focus in terms of Israelites, you don't have to use Black Hebrew. It's kind of I won't say it's understood. You know what I'm saying? It's just overly expressed. However, our ancestors migrated every time there was a crisis in the land. They migrated into Egypt every time. And so this time, when Rome comes and destroys Israel in 70, where do we go? We go into Egypt. We go into the west coast of Africa. We get part into the Slave Coast, which is also known as the Gold Coast. You have Angola, you have even parts of Nigeria, Igbos, a lot of Igbos who were brought to North America, and then the triangle trade, the triangle slave trade, the transatlantic slave trade were Igbos. Igbos is a cognate of the word Hebrew, okay? And even when you deal with the Ashanti in Yame is a cognate of the name Yahweh, Baruch Hashem, blessed be his name. And so these Hebrewisms you can find all on the west coast of Africa. So fast forward to more of the 1600s, right? In the slave trade, we're brought to the Western Hemisphere. And so when you even look during the plantation days, many of the customs of our ancestors preserve the Hebraic culture. Okay. And so fast forward to let's say the 19th century, you have individuals by the name of George S. Cherry. You have also William Saunders Crotty. You have some other individuals that were starting to reclaim their heritage, right? And so the Hebrew expression amongst so-called African Americans and Black people, it goes back to, easily the 1600s. Well, it goes back to the beginning, of course, but in terms of us in America expressing ourselves, it goes back really to even that time of the 1600s. When you look at a lot of the slave manifests, you'll see names that end in Yah and El. You'll see the Hebraic influence on the manifests of the slave ships, of the indigenous names of the people who came on those slave ships expressed, clearly as being Hebrew. So our history runs deep back to that, very much so.
So, well, I guess I'll start with a follow-up. So as I was looking through maybe some of the recent, so if you go way farther back than maybe what I guess the context of what we're looking at. But and I guess I would assume there's different people, different leaders, and I'm not sure that you might agree with all of them, but the one in particular I was looking at, and forgive me if I mispronounce, Ben Israel. He was
Ben Ami, from Chicago.
So,
yes, sir.
Yeah, so his vision in 1966 to return back to Israel, to the Promised Land. How do you decide? Like, how do you deal with that in terms of the people that's there, that's occupying the land that people that say that's their land? Like, how do y'all fit in with that relationship and the settle colonialism that's happening there? Like, what how do y'all approach that?
Undeniably.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, we call it the Geula, the redemption. And so, there's a law in the books in Israel called the law of return. And under that law, and I'm going to get to your question, under that law, you have people who come from India. You have people who have come from China. You have people who've come from all over the world claiming their Jewish, quote unquote, heritage and have been accepted readily. The challenge has been for so-called African Americans who have migrated back. I have some family there. A good friend of mine I grew up with, brother Diallo, Shebaniah, brother Terry. He's there now even. He's been there for 15 plus years, but we know families that go back to the 60s when they first migrated there. We're a part of that. You know what I'm saying? The beauty is that, when you look at the kingdom of heaven, so to speak, right? It is a matter of the heart. Although there are indigenous and flesh and blood descendant Israelites, yes. If you're willing to party with the covenant, and I'm just kind of making this disclaimer real quick, and to follow the Torah and to embrace the Torah, right? And to love Yah with all your heart, all your soul, and all your strength, and love your neighbor as yourself, your neighbor, right? You're a part of this covenant, okay? And this is the beauty of this particular culture, and this kingdom, right? It's a government. Let's be clear about that as well. This government, it is an open government for those who are willing to sojourn and to keep the Torah, right? But for those who are not, those are the enemies. But let me say this, right? With the 60s and the migration of those who came from the United States, particularly from Chicago, Indiana, from Virginia area, I know Asar Ahmadiel, who is the Minister of Information for the Kingdom of Yah in Dimona. And he was just talking about this in an interview he had with I forgot the brother's name, Brother Kofi, I believe. He actually does a very powerful show on YouTube as well. But he's like, we are the people. Let's be clear. In fact, in the late 1800s, the first rabbi of the IDF went to Ethiopia. And I'm just kind of contextualizing this to understand why it's so important that our presence there is understood and felt. the first chief IDF rabbi went to Ethiopia to get 3 Ethiopian rabbis to come from Ethiopia and to ordain, or what's called perform shmicha on their rabbis who came from Europe in order to perform and to practice Judaism in the land of Israel. They needed the African acceptance and the African approval to go about performing and practicing Judaism in that particular land. And so when we're there, and we've been there, you know what I'm saying? I met some Afro-Palestinians. His name is Ali Jida. When I was in Jerusalem last time, 2016, he was like, you all belong here. This is your land, right? And so we have people there, Afro-Palestinian. Ali Jida is a 4th generation Afro-Palestinian from Chad, but he knows the history of that land as well. He knows who originally occupied that land prior to 1948. It's well understood, okay? And so we just have to reconcile the history and really do our due diligence in finding out what this history is all about. You know, we've been exiled from that land for over 2,000 years. So, of course, particularly us in Africa, in America, 2,000 plus miles and 2,000 plus years away from that land, we're disconnected. We've forgotten Jerusalem. You see what I'm saying? Those who are connected to it, we've forgotten Jerusalem. And so we really don't even have a fight in this. And those who we're siding with, I made a presentation the other day on Facebook and YouTube. Like, neither of those people, that land belongs to neither of those people. So, you know, we can talk about free Palestine, and you can talk about, Israel live forever, but the state of Israel is not even supposed to be. And there's Jews, European Jews even, who are Torah observant, who are opposed to the Zionist machine. They're opposed to it.
Let me ask this one question before Diallo goes. So you gave the anecdote of the one Palestinian brother who said, you belong here. So, and then you also said you don't have a dog in the fight. So I wonder if you can explain the difference between what you believe and your group believe, and how does that differ from the Palestinian people, particularly maybe the Black Palestinian people, and then also how does it respond to Zionism if you don't have a dog in the fight?
Well, in that land, coexistence has been the case for some time. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's been coexistence of Afro-Palestinians and Israelites in that land. In fact, during the Kingdom of Yah and Damona, the New World Passover, there are Afro-Palestinians that attend the New World Passover. You wouldn't be able to tell the Hebrew from the Muslim. You wouldn't be able to tell that. Like I said, prior to 1948, there was peaceful coexistence in that land under the Ottoman Empire. The Ottoman Empire, the Jordanians actually had that land pretty much, you know, functioning in a peaceful sense. You know, it had been through so many different epics, though, because you had the Crusades. You know, when you go back to the Crusades, at least in the 300s, you know, going back, really starting with Constantine. Well, actually, when you go back to all the different incursions in Jerusalem, starting with Greece, let's say the third beast in the book of Daniel, right? The European presence, even the African presence with Babylon, you know, because the Babylonians, the Sagiga people, were African people. When you're dealing with Nebuchadnezzar and them, and you're dealing with Ahasuerus and King Darius or Darius, you're dealing with African people there. I'm kind of taking a long route to answer your question, but to contextualize this historically is so important. Well, the reason I say I don't have a dog in that fight is because, again, the Ashkenazim, who are Turkish people, and there's a letter from one of their kings named Joseph in the 600s, who said that we come from Togarmah. The Ashkenazim come from a Turkish people who are from Yafet. In the Bible, when you read Noah's sons, Shem and Ham occupy the African and Eastern Asian regions. Yafet occupies the Eurasian, because we know Europe is not a continent, the Eurasian areas, right? Dealing with Turkey on up into the north, right? And so the Turks converted during the age of the Crusades, during the 700s, and became Jewish politically in order to not side either with the Muslim or the Christian faction. Okay. And so they made a political strategic move, and actually, you know, came Jews in order to preserve their stake on both sides. You can play both sides of the fence now. And so, again, when you're dealing with this land question right now, you're dealing with two non-indigenous people fighting over land that doesn't belong to them, that they were not, you know, they don't originate from those lands. Again, the Palestinians are originally Greco-Syrians, right? And then you're dealing with the Ashkenazim, who are Turkish people who originate from Eurasia, Asia Minor. And we come from that land. That's why, the land question is the land question. The war that's going on, it's unnecessary, but it's taking place, and the reason why is because Jerusalem is the hottest real estate on earth. People know this. It's the hottest real estate on earth, hands down. Okay. And so for that, whoever occupies that land actually will occupy and control the whole world. That's just how it goes. And this has been the case. You can like smirk and everything, but the historical reality and precedent of this is unquestionable. It is unquestionable. And we see how this all flows, and the thing is, when you're dealing with history and then you line it up with prophecy and what the scripture says, these things don't like contradict. These things all line up. It all comes together. And this is where we have to really examine this matter thoroughly and not just take a religious mindset. If you're looking at it religiously, yeah, you're going to get twisted. You're going to get messed up. When you look at this prophetically and you look at this in a sense that is going to really allow us to make sense of what's going on and why these things are going on, because this stuff was told that it would happen. You read Revelation 16, you can really understand the whole dynamic of what's going on right now.
Go ahead, Diallo or Jared. You're on mute, Diallo.
Oh, I think I might need to No, yeah, go ahead.
First of all, I want to put a pin in where you said don't look at it religiously, look at it prophetically. And so I would like to engage you about where you can find prophecy outside of religion. But more to the reason I invited you here, Dr. John Henry Clark, said that Black people are the true believers. He stated that we out Pope the Pope, we out Muhammad. And I believe if he was still with us, he would probably say we out Zion the Zionist. And he didn't say that we're the true believers as a compliment, but said it's a rather tragic situation. I would like to deal with and the reason I invited you here, and I would, if given the opportunity, get a Muslim of African descent, get a Christian, especially a dispensational or evangelical Christian of African descent, because Black people take on this conflict, and by extension, Black people or Africans people take conclusions and responses to larger campaigns of colonization, genocide, and how we conceptualize liberation and resistance is greatly influenced by what is called the world religions, and where we see ourselves or our adaptation or embrace of these world religions. I'd like to move this from a theological, as you said. Let's go from theological and go into political and ideological point of view, because you and I have had discussion. I know you're very clear on my positions in terms of religion in general and your religious faith particular. In terms of the Zionist conflict and the larger Black community, or what you would define most of us as Israelites, which you essentially say that this is prophetic and unavoidable. And so that what is your ultimate position in terms of this particular conflict as it manifests today? Mm-hmm. The side that your community, and you think the larger community as you define the Black community or the Israelite community, what side do you take politically?
I take the side of the righteous, brother. I take the side of truth. I take the side of the right side of history, right? And so one thing I want to just clarify, you bring up Dr. Clark, I will bring up Kwame Nkrumah and his Conscientism book, and he talks about any revolution has to have a spiritual impetus as well. Without a spiritual impetus, you can't really move forward ideologically, because what will truly unite the people is the spiritual center and that paradigm that allows for humanity to transcend their humanity and to go into a higher calling, to understand the purpose of humanity, wise, sagacious humans with one source of wisdom, which is what human being means, Homo sapien. It allows for us to solidify ideologically on the higher principles of life: truth, justice, righteousness, love, peace, right? And move into a place where we can actually rid the world of these injustices and this corruption that is taking place. So I'm on the side of truth. I'm on the side of peace. I'm on the side of that. And both of these sides, completely honest, while there are human beings who are striving to live their life in those principles, be they Muslims or be they Jews, right? And be they Christian. But these three religions, and I mean this in the sense of religion, because culture, you have to keep in mind, culture has a spiritual expression. All cultures have spiritual expressions, right? And so the expression of the spirit, the vitality of the people, and the source of the vitality of that people, you can't disregard that. And when we disregard that, we're denying our humanity. You see what I'm saying? What separates us from animals and just the simple biological function that you love to bring up every time, Diallo, is our higher intellectual process of the neocortex, which connects us to ultimate consciousness. You see what I'm saying?
Do you intend to answer my question though?
I'm answering your question because I'm on the side of political truth. I'm on the side of
And which
neither Palestine nor Israel. I'm on neither side. I'm on the side of truth. You see what I'm saying? I don't. That's the.
So you're neutral in the conflict.
I'm not neutral in that conflict. I need both of those people removed so the true inhabitants can come and occupy that land. That's what I'm saying.
And the true inhabitants are.
If you were listening, you would hear that I said it is us. We are.
But brother Shebaniah, your brother Shebaniah, correct?
Correct.
Has been there for over almost 2 decades.
Almost.
And within Kansas City specifically, but here in Chicago, I know several people who have returned, who have and currently are citizens of Israel. So the option of the right of return, as you mentioned, which is political, the right of return. So your people are returning to that land. Correct. But what is curious about that is when Black Hebrews return to that land, they don't return there in a neutral stance. They return there as citizens of the state of Israel. Their children are conscripted. I know a family of Israelites, of true Israelites, as you would define them, that when their oldest son began to be conscripted into the IDF, they packed up and escaped Israel. So even in your return, you claim that you're on neither side, but the Black Hebrews, through their actions, the Black Israelites, through their political, real grounded, real world activities, always fall on the side of the Zionist.
I think that what you misconstrue is, again, the reality of just like you talked about colonialism, the colonial force and the colonial presence and the assimilation into society, into the hegemony, right, if you will, does require some things to be somewhat compromised at times, you know, in order to go about establishing a presence and establishing the purpose and the mission there. You know, we know,
right?
Even if I may finish, please, even as we have the desire for liberation in the United States, we know that there's still rules that we have to play by in order for us to get to a place where we can actually establish our liberation.
Yeah, okay? But we didn't volunteer to be in the United States. You volunteered to become a citizen of Israel.
Repatriation is a process. Anytime you repatriate, right?
But
until this is what you have to understand, because there are European Jews who disagree with the state of Israel and do not participate in the state of Israel as well. Okay, so this is what you have to understand. So if you're just focusing on just the obvious, yes, you're going to.
If you're focusing on the facts,
you're going to notice those things.
You're focusing on the reality.
And there are realities that are also being altered and changed as well as we speak. So if it is completely accepted hook, line, and sinker, yes, I can see your argument holds up. But when you got to understand that there are people who are working to bring forth a different reality within the state of Israel. Okay, they don't just accept the entirety of the injustices and the corruption and the way that the state is ran. because they're again, the religious, quote unquote, I'll use that term, the religious aspect of Judaism does not side with political Zionism in the state of Israel. They don't support it in many ways. There's people who do not support the state of Israel in many ways who are religious Jews, who are European and
when
Ashkenazi.
Black Israelites repatriate to their homeland of Israel and their children come of age, are they not conscripted into the IDF?
Until we have our own establishment, yes, you have to do that. Yes.
So you can talk ideologically, you can construct all the history, whether it is documented academic history or theological prophetic beliefs, ultimately, functionally, materially, on a grounded human scale, the Israelites condemn or claim neutrality with the atrocities of the Zionist state, but through your grounded actions. Okay, you disagree with the facts, the documented facts that you just acknowledged.
But are you familiar with what took place prior to this, and the demonstrations and the protests that were taking place in Israel prior to even this incursion had taken place, because of the stance that Israel was taking towards the Palestinians? Are you familiar with that? And they rejected the administration of Benjamin Netanyahu coming back into power. Are you familiar with all that stuff that had taken place as well? With the outright opposition and expressed opposition to that. Are you familiar with that taking place? Do you know that took place as well? The protests that were taking place and the people not accepting what the political government was attempting to do. Are you familiar with that? Do you talk about that?
Can I 1 moment of clarification?
No, I want y'all to answer that question. Are you aware of that? Yes or no?
I am aware of that. And I am also aware that the black Israelites, I am aware that the black Israelites have, especially the black Israelites, have been given special consideration by the Zionist state, that the Zionist state has welcomed, embraced, and frankly exploited the black Israelites, and that ultimately in exchange for an opportunity to return to their motherland and live out their religious belief and to fulfill the prophecies they believe are real, they have made peace with and made, as you said, concessions with, and essentially allied themselves with the Zionist settler colony.
So I think that's my clarification. Are you, because this is what I heard, I just want to make sure that you clearly said there's a process, and the process is for Hebrew African people to go to Palestine and help the IDF.
That's what I said.
I mean, when he said,
I didn't say that.
That's what I'm asking for clarification. So you can clear that right now. But
when you were talking about, what I was talking about initially was when the IDF got established, and the first rabbi went and sought permission from the Ethiopian Jews to perform and practice Judaism. That's what you heard initially, right? They wanted to get Shmika. Now, they didn't know what was going to take place after that. They did not know how Israel and the state of Israel would become that which they detested initially in terms of the pogroms that had taken place. But this is, you got to understand how, the Rothschilds backed state of Israel does not side with many different Israelites, even Jews, even European Jews. So this is what you got to look at this delineation. What you're focusing on is American-backed machine that is, intent on ethnic cleansing. They're intent on it, right? So what you don't also see is that, again, this is a program that goes back to the Roman occupation of Israel that ethnically cleansed the indigenous people from that land as well. And nobody's talking about that. Nobody's talking about how the indigenous Israelites were ethnically cleansed and divorced from that land against their will. And there was a whole different people brought in, right? And so again, when you're dealing with the present, you have to contextualize this with the past. If you're not looking at this from the past perspective and putting it all together, then you're really going to miss what has developed and has come to be. You're missing it entirely.
Well, one thing I really do appreciate, because I think a lot of times, especially within our community and our movements, we tend to want to talk to and engage with people we agree with. But I have to say, um, although I see it as a tragedy, I do have to acknowledge that the Black Hebrew and the Black Israelite cult has a very strong presence within the Black community, and often find themselves engaged with what we could define as the Black uh, liberation struggle, or the Black cultural or Black conscious community. And although I have, engaged this and always spoke out about it, I do think that these faith, we often talk about how people condemn me for judging other people's beliefs. People condemn me for judging other people's faiths, and they tell me I should allow people to believe what they want to believe. But I appreciate brother Kwabenu. I always butcher your name, but sorry about that. I should know it by now. Quabin Yahoo. Thank you. Corbin Yahoo.
There you go.
I ain't gonna get it. Give me another 20 years. I'll get it.
Why you saying that, brother? I appreciate that. I sincerely appreciate that.
But we see that these personal faiths, these personal walks with gods, these personal belief systems and faiths impact our comprehension of conflicts. They impact the positions and the stances we take in the conflicts. Your faith impacts your ideology, your politics, your identity, not only how you organize for justice, or how you even identify, or your capacity to identify what is truly just and unjust. So
may
that's
I
ultimate.
jump in a little bit here for a second?
Absolutely.
Just a couple points I'd like to bring up, starting with one very important one. Much in agreement with what Diallo just said about the importance of expanding the circle and discussion. I got to start with something that you said about Nkrumah and consciencism, and I think just in general we disagree on. I mean, I have a set of disagreements here, but this is a big one. Consciencism, I think you have it exactly backwards. And in fact, my work study circle in the All African People's Revolutionary Party just finished up our second go-round, or what for me is a second go-round within the party, never mind previous readings of that book. And it's something that should be studied in collectives, much like everything. Individual study, I'm not accusing you of this, but individual study is treacherous, and with a book like this in particular, because it's, for me at least, gets a little complex. But one thing that you have, I think, particularly backwards, is that Nkrumah wanted to clarify the need for a material basis of culture and spirituality, not the other way around, and worked for, in his lifetime, as his political project, the Pan-African Organization of All African People under United States of Africa, particularly under the banner of scientific socialism. So you, much like I would argue in terms of your general approach, it's framed incorrectly through maybe a religious lens, a spiritual lens, an imperfect reading of the text. I'm not entirely sure, but I just wanted to start there. That was a complete backwards reading of Nkrumah's work, particularly that book, Consciencism. Just a couple other things, and then we could pick up I don't know how much time we're spending this morning, but just a couple things that I heard. You start off with the 6,000 year biblical religious time window, which for human history and civilization, which again erases
not civilization. I'm talking about Israel specific and their appearance on the map. So not entirely.
Oh, you're dating Israel's appearance on the map at 6,000 years ago?
Going back to 6,000 plus years in terms of the people of Israel, yes. Not humanity. No, that is not humanity.
No, not
humanity. Transcends that. By hundreds of thousands of years.
Oh, okay. Because the biblical timeline starts at 6,000 BC. So that's what I thought I heard you saying.
No, sir. That's when Adam appeared. Adam was not the first human being on Earth at all.
Okay, so that starts to maybe comport with. So maybe we don't. So maybe we agree more than I thought, because part of what I think is the problem is that the African contribution, despite it's odd for me to hear you talk about where African people should be while simultaneously seeming to erase African history from the discussion.
If you heard, I said that Israel
can I
came
just make a
Bantус.
couple points? I haven't said a word in 40 minutes. I just want to
No
make
doubt.
a couple points.
I just want to clarify what you were saying there. That's all. I just want to clarify. I didn't want you to misquote me.
I'm not misquoting. You clarified the 6,000 year part.
Okay.
What I'm saying now is about your general approach.
Okay.
So it's not misquoting you. It's I'm arguing against your entire frame, which seems again to want to center and replace African people while simultaneously erasing African history from the discussion.
I don't understand that.
That's why I'm trying to finish. I'm just trying to finish, and maybe I'll get there. That's what I'm trying. Just trying to finish. Give me a couple minutes. I've been quiet literally for 40 minutes. Let me just say a couple words. So, and my point in saying that is that the African history that has been erased is the civilizational project that produces all of these religions and languages, etc., and then is misunderstood to create new religions and political projects which play a part in what's today's conflict, leading to some more misunderstanding. So when you make reference, so you say you talked about the importance of historical context, and but set one based on biblical history being literal. At the Bible is being literal history or accurate literal history, and
repeat that one more time. Run that
so
back.
You talked a number of you said repeatedly that there's an importance that historical context is important, and then you talked about, but then but to me you contradict that point by accepting the Bible as literal actual history, when outside of the Bible there's very little to no historical justification for almost any of what the Bible claims beyond. Well, basically, yeah, I'll leave it at that. Similarly, as Charles Finch has said, the Bible mythologically is itself an African or Kemetic document. And if we understand the linguistic and cultural origins and the African contributions, we would understand things like Adam has its own Kemetic original definition that means something else that has been turned into Adam, the first man, which you at least acknowledge is not the case. So I'm happy to hear that. But when you make reference to Ham and Shem, and when you make reference to Egyptian descended people being in Palestine, I just want, it seems like you're not acknowledging that Egypt or Kemet itself was originally African, and the Arabs who came much later, to which these Palestinians may be somewhat connected, in which case your point would be somewhat correct, was in fact the case. So in other words, it just seems like you were not acknowledging the African contribution or origin of what you already acknowledged was a very African geographic location, and rightly so. The Red Sea being a human construction in the 19th century and all of that. So all of these places are landlocked. But then it could also have been argued that, as others have argued, that what we call the Middle East is not just East Africa, but maybe Western Asia or a combination thereof, so on and so on. So then I'll stop here by saying that sort of that summarizes the confused frame I think you're bringing to this, is that you said, and Diallo picked up on this, that you want historical accuracy, but that there is, as you said, quote, an unquestionable lining up of biblical prophecy with the historical record, and that we should somehow look at things prophetically and not religiously, while also, as you said, referring to specifically Revelations 16 for why we shouldn't think of things religiously and prophetically. So to me, the frame is very confused by the anti-historical component of the Bible, and it leads us to taking, I think, making confused political decisions or conclusions today, which is what I'm arguing where you are with vis-a-vis my colleagues just discuss with you in terms of Israel, IDF enrollment, not seeming to be clear on the settler colonial project of Israel, and it's
very clear on that.
Okay, so if we're clear that Israel is a Western is an extension
of
Western Empire,
the state of Israel, yes.
If we understand that, and that then to not work actively against a Zionist colonialist project politically, based on the idea that these two people fighting are not the original people of the Bible of that land, misses so much of what is important about, I think, an appropriate analysis, starting where I began, ending where I began, with understanding that Nkrumah wanted socialism and a material understanding of spirit, culture, and history, so that we would be better able to organize ourselves and move on this world as it is today. I did the best I could, but that covers all the points I wanted to bring up.
So first, if you had heard, Israel is descendant of a Bantu people. So I can't erase the historical reality of Africans' contribution to the tapestry of who Israel is, right? And so even looking at the migration routes and understanding Afro-Asiatic languages and the Afro-Asiatic mind, the consciousness of the people, right? When you're dealing with Israel, you can even consider it a part of the Nile Valley in ways. And I mean that in the sense that it's in alignment with it. And so when you understand how, the Khoisan, the Bantu, and the Twa people, filled that entire continent. But when you look at the Nilotic man, you can see the consciousness of Israel evolve through that. Okay. You talk about the influence. Yes, of course, Israel was heavily influenced by Mitzrayim. Israel was also influenced by the Sagiga people of Mesopotamia, Sumeria, right? So there were African people over there, the Indus Kush area, right? I'm not discounting and nullifying the contribution of African people even into that text, into that context, even going over to the Yellow Valley. You got African people everywhere. I'm familiar with Anacalypsis by Godfrey Higgins that says the further back in history you go, especially with all the valley civilizations, guess who those people were? They were African people. So I cannot deny the African contribution to history, right? To civilization. And so when you're dealing with Israel, what has happened is Israel has been taken out of the context of African contributions. And that's where my problem and question is with so-called African scholars. Why are you removing us from our contribution to our history and our consciousness as people? Why are you removing Israel from that? You see what I'm saying? Prior to 1948, in World War II, Jews were not thought of typically as European. Okay? Even Hitler knew that the European Jews were converts, and that the original Jew was Negro. You can read in Time Life magazine, there's a book called The Nazis where he completely says that, right? They knew that. But here it is. We as African people reject Israel. Why? It doesn't fit our paradigm. One thing about us as Israelites and we strive, we're not perfect, we're working towards that. Our moral thrust, it challenges a lot of people. It really does. It really does. Allow me to finish.
Okay.
Hold on, brother Diallo, because I want to get back to some other things that the brother. What you say? I mix what I like. I don't know your name. What's your name, my brother?
Jared.
Brother Jared, the descendant, one who is Yared. Beautiful. That's a beautiful Hebrew name, my brother. I love it. I love it. And so, anyway,
yeah. You one of them, Jared.
I haven't heard that in a minute. You're right.
You one of them.
100%.
Yedid.
You over there.
That's what my Ethiopian brothers call me. Yedid.
Yes, sir. The descendant. The one.
Wear your small hat.
I don't have a small hat. This is one of Emil Cabral wore. So
I'm asking Jared where his small hat.
We don't wear little beanies like that though, so that's what we got to clarify.
Let me try to get a final question. Can I get a final question in here?
Let me. Are we about to wrap up? Because I just want to kind of respond to the spiritual aspect of it, because again, the spiritual dynamics of our revolutionary. When you look at like James Cone, you familiar with the historian James Cone? And he talks about how we have to contextualize everything into that. Even Malcolm. Right, Malcolm, while he did say, yeah, we got to leave our religion at home at times, but still he understood the role of religion in revolution. Right, and that's something I think that he
didn't say at times.
But listen, this is what I'm saying.
He didn't say at times. I'm sorry. I know y'all hate when he did not say leave your religion at home at times. Stop it.
This is what I'm saying. You know, because I got my brother.
Point blank. But
here's the thing.
He didn't say at time. Point blank. Period.
Okay, I'll concede that point. So let's move
forward. Thank you.
Move forward. So with spirituality,
I ain't gonna lie on Malcolm while I'm here.
With spirituality, though, as a part of the human makeup, man, when y'all denying the impetus for life and the thrust for life and the vitality and the fire that burns within us to aspire to be even more than we are, what we're doing is we deny our spiritual reality. We're cutting off our head. We're cutting our head off. You see what I'm saying? You have to understand the role that spirituality plays in erecting man and in transcending man above and beyond what man is. Right? Otherwise, we're just animals, just like Diallo says. Otherwise, we're just functioning as animals with a little higher cognitive process, right? But that's not it. We got so much more to aspire to. We can transcend. I bet you never read that report that I sent you that was declassified from the CIA about how. Did you read that? Did you see how transcendental meditation, what that can actually accomplish, and why the military wanted to weaponize that stuff? Did you ever read that? Did you ever read how they want to weaponize transcendental meditation and why?
I not only read that document you sent me, I traced it back to its origins.
Which is what?
Absolute, utter nonsense. That's what it was.
That's your opinion. I can respect your opinion. I don't agree with your opinion, right?
All right.
But it's shown scientifically how transcendental meditation affects the mind. They've studied this stuff.
No. Wait. Just to be clear, they didn't prove that it worked. Wait. The CIA abandoned its own projects for not proving it worked. So wait, I just want to be clear on that because I'm familiar with some of that too. So they didn't to report that they proved that it worked is misleading. And then again, we're also talking about what we think we're understanding about what the CIA
and as an Israelite, you on here blaspheming because y'all not supposed to be messing around with that. That's a whole nother belief system. Don't you blaspheme in here. You blaspheming. Y'all not supposed to be in that Eastern mysticism and stuff.
Let me do this wrap up question.
You monotheistic. You playing around. You playing footsies with polytheistic belief systems.
And that's
I'm serious. I'm trying to preserve your soul, brother.
Let's stay away from people's understanding of his religion, your religion. Let's just wrap up here. So you said you kind of, I don't know if you clarified the dog in the fight thing, but you say none of them belong in the land, right? Mm-hmm. We know that there's a current genocidal attack on Palestinian people. And because you're saying you want both of them to leave, what is your prophetic conclusion? What would you like to see? Would they kill each other?
I want to see humanity prevail. What I want to see are human beings coexist as human beings. What I want to see is oppression done away with.
Wait. So real quick. So, and we're going to get to this when you leave in terms of Charlemagne saying that he don't want to be pro-Israel or pro-Palestine. He want to stop seeing kids die. He want to be stop seeing kids die. We hear that shit, right? But kids been dying way before Palestine start fighting back. So my question is, like, how do you see this thing playing out, and what do the Hebrew Africans want to see, and especially the ones that are now helping the IDF still today? Like, what's the goal? What's the plan?
I can't speak for them. You know what I'm saying? I can't speak for them. What I desire to see is, again, all corruption done away with. And I understand that there's both sides are not guilty. You know what I'm saying? Both sides, are not innocent. Both sides are not innocent in this matter. You know what I'm saying? Hamas does not represent the Palestinian people. One of the sons of Hamas recently rose up and said that we do not side with Hamas. This is a Palestinian himself saying that, because what he was saying is that Hamas even tortures and kidnaps and exploits their own people. And this is what I'm saying. When you go back to Revelation
this one
16,
anecdote is supposed to stand against the
I'm not. I said Hamas
the democratic
first.
election of that. Okay, I just want to be clear.
I'm going to go and also address the Zionist state, because the Zionist state is de facto as well. The Hamas sanctioned government of Palestine is de facto as well. There are people who don't support Hamas in Palestine. They support their brothers and sisters who are being bombed out. Yes, heck yeah, they do. right? And so when you're dealing with that, you have to understand historically, again, when you're dealing with that particular land question, that land question is completely a matter of colonialization, right? So I want all the colonizers to leave from that land, right? That's what you got to understand first and foremost. All the colonizers that have taken over that land of Canaan, that land known as Israel, right? That land known as Palestine, they have to go so that the people can come in and usher in a kingdom of peace. They can usher
So
in a kingdom of
ultimately,
justice.
and I see what your position is consistent across the Black Hebrew or the Black Israelite community. Y'all have neutral rhetoric, but you have Zionist behaviors. Because even though you claim they're both this, they both neither, that's our land. When you take practical actions, and we can talk to Shebaniah and the many
I'm
cultists
speaking
who
for
have
myself right
went
now.
back
In the name of Yahweh.
structurally, formally, legally, geographically. The Black Israelites behave and personally and collectively derive benefits from the Zionist side.
The state
I
of Israel
haven't
is
seen,
separate.
I don't know of
If you
one,
listen to me
and
say
if
that,
you guys claim
Israel
that's
is
your
separate.
land, and I don't know of one Israelite, Black Israelite, who has moved to the West Bank or Gaza. You claim it's all your land, but miraculously, when y'all set foot on your mother soil, it's always within the state of Israel. If it's all your land, how come not one has moved to the West Bank or the
There's
Gaza
people in the
Strip?
West Bank. There's people in there. There's not people in Gaza. I know there's people who actually organize with people in Gaza. I know
I've been bumping heads. Okay, all right.
Who organize with people from Gaza.
That's
I know people who organize with
just
people in the West Bank.
not factually true. But
That is factually true. That is very factually. Who you need to get on here, honestly, I can't speak for what's going on in the land of Israel. I'm not in the land of Israel. I'm not in that land, right? But if you want to speak with someone someone in the land of Israel that can tell you more expressly what's going on, you need to find Sarah Madiel in Israel.
I thought this was what this interview is about, though.
It's about that, yes, but I can only give you a limited perspective from someone in the diaspora. I'm not in that land right now, so I can't give you the specifics of what's going on. I do not know. But I do know that Afro-Palestinians, I do know Afro-Palestinians, and I do know Israelites are organizing. I do know that.
But interesting, you said you
to
have
what end?
Wait. You said you have a limited view of it, and then when we push back on the limitation,
ground.
you still argue.
What I'm arguing is for that, you know what I'm saying? Again, humanity is going to organize. Israel is going to organize with humanity and call for the injustices to be dealt with.
Ultimately, but can I get this? Because we have to know that what Brother Corbinahu is articulating here is gaining a lot of traction within the Black community, within the Black diaspora. They are every major city I go to.
I'm not one of those Israelites, brothers. Who you talking about?
Y'all, I know there are several factions. I know y'all are fracturing. That's just the nature of cults. I don't even hold it against you. There's a lot of different sects out there.
You about to have a whole time to speak. Let me make a final
I just would like for you to speak to the success, how the success of the spread, because it is a cornerstone of your belief system, is you have to awaken the lost tribes. And according to your belief systems, we so-called African Americans are all the true Israelites who came here in bondage.
That's not true. That's not a true statement. That's not factual. That is not factual. Not everybody.
I'm literally repeating literature you gave me a decade ago.
I don't state that all Black people in America are Israelites. That's not even a.
I didn't say that. I didn't say all Black people in America. I'm saying all Black people who came here in bondage are Hebrew.
That's not even true. Wow. That's not even true. There were Muslims also that came over here. They were traditional African practices.
You're gonna have to
as well.
You're gonna have to send me the updated literature.
You're just making some embellishments right now, my brother.
So for those you do claim.
Let me finalize this statement. Allow me to make
an
ending point.
Okay, appreciate it.
Y'all said with Geechee, y'all saying, I want to clarify, right? what the state of Israel is doing to the Palestinians is an extreme injustice, hands down. It's a humanitarian crisis. It is an asymmetrical warfare tactic that is being carried out to literally obliterate this people, who they interestingly had political alignments with and brought into that country because they're all aligned with the Roman Empire as well. Everything comes back to the Roman Empire. This is still the Roman Empire ruling. This is still Rome. The Vatican is pretty much all behind this yet and still. Cover your face in shame, do what you want to do. All roads still lead to Rome, my brother. The Jesuits will ultimately seek control of that land. If you understand how that land is divided up into...
We allow face journeys on this show.
I mean, you can do your face
journeys are permitted. So
what I'm saying is this, again, when you see how this is all orchestrated and why these things are taking place and what's going on behind the scenes, spiritually even, how this is carrying out, then you'll see ultimately that this is to bring in a one world government. This is to cause people to be completely exhausted of religious wars, right? In order to usher in the ultimate religion, which is a Luciferian doctrine that people are going to widely accept because it's going to be pushed and clothed in secular humanism. It's going to be clothed in that. Let's be clear about this. It's going to be clothed in secular humanism because it's going to be like a do what thou wilt type of mentality that we're seeing.
That's
right
not
now.
what secular humanism. That's again.
Hey,
I gotta jump in here to say that what you're doing to secular humanism, what you did to conscientism. I just want to be clear for the record that that's
I
not
support
an accurate
secular
depiction.
humanism.
I do too, and that's why I'm saying it's to describe it as do
clothed,
whatever you want.
Clothed in that. Clothed in that. You see what I'm saying? You got to see how this all comes together, right? Okay. So it's a chimera. It's a chimera. It combines all kinds of different mysteries and puts them together. Because that's how if you look at how the Roman Empire worked, they allow people to function in their flesh, so to speak. Oh, you do that? We'll just Christianize that. That's just a Christian thing now. Oh, you do that there? We'll Christianize that. You can do that there because what the Roman Empire wants to do is save its face and allow the people to function without really revolting against it. Right. And so
can you speak to the success of the spread of the Black Hebrew belief system across the Black community here in the U.S. or the African diaspora?
That sounds like a job for the rational radical. I think you and Josephus should.
Okay.
Because I think we almost like an hour.
Yeah, hour and 2 minutes into it.
Yeah,
but it's just a matter of again, sheep hearing the voice. When you're hearing this, a lot of the sheep hear the voice of the spirit, which something that I know is not accepted in this particular room.
Sheep.
But when I say sheep, yes, the lost house,
the lost tribes, the lost tribe.
The house of
I know, but are we the sheep today?
Yes, you are a sheep.
Not. Obviously, you're not. You're not a sheep. No, you're not. If you reject that, no, you're not a sheep. You know what I'm
saying? He just condemned you to hell, Geechee.
I'm not condemning anybody to anywhere. I don't have the authority to do that. You know what I'm saying? What I have the authority to do first and foremost to live my life. You know what I'm saying? And to fellowship with those who are of the like mind. And I love fellowship and politicizing with you. You know what I'm saying? I don't have a problem, sharing my thoughts with you all, nor do I have a problem receiving with your thoughts. What I would encourage you to do, brother, is stay in your lane and not try to convert those who are spiritually minded to atheism. You're an evangelist.
I deconvert.
You know what I'm saying? You're an evangelist in your own mind. But
it is my job to deconvert.
Okay, so you accept that. Okay, but the thing is this, right? Humanity will aspire to its greater self under the influence of spiritual consciousness, which is a science. And that's what because what you're dealing with the laws. You're dealing with every kingdom has a law. Every kingdom, plant kingdom, right, has a law. There are laws to that. Humanity has a law too, but what humanity does not want to do is submit itself to the law for its higher development, to come into its fullness of consciousness, right? Which is to reflect the powers of the Creator.
I appreciate you, bro.
We have that within us. You know what I'm saying? We have a whole bunch of latent powers within us that we have not tapped. The mind, we only use up to about 5%. We don't even understand how the mind fully works, right? And this is how we can get into that through meditation, right? Through spiritual alignment with the Most High. You see what I'm saying? And this is where we have to
through MRI machines.
Very much so. You can see how the auras and the bodies and the chakras work.
All from EEG machines.
You can see all that. You see the thermal pattern and map of humanity.
Thank you very much.
But I appreciate you, bro.
We gotta move on.
Undeniably, I appreciate your time, man. Much power to you all.
Oh, can you give people opportunities Where they can contact you, they can continue the lessons if they're receptive to this
I'm gonna type it in. You
indoctrination.
probably won't do it. I'll type it in the
Just
text.
say it. Then that
So
way we can't.
it's called
Huh?
Beit Mashiach KC, BeitMashiyach KC. You can go to Shifting Paradigms, No Vowels, BGMG at YouTube. That's my YouTube handler. You can check out my blog. Same thing. No vowels. Shifting Paradigms.wordpress.com. So those are the three you can check it out at right there.
Appreciate it, bro.
Thank you very much, man. Take care of yourself. Peace.
Likewise, do the same, y'all.
We'll be back in a second.
You got to earn your liberation.
All right, back. Earn your liberation. Man.
Listen, I find it best. You know, I've been organizing against religion in general and the Hebrew cult specifically, and I find a lot of times some of the best countermeasures is just to allow them to articulate their positions. So.
Well, Ricky said you can't invite anybody on for 2 weeks.
Yeah, because they want to. She's sitting up in the choir, swaying up in the choir in her prayer robe. You know, we. I don't think we need to just have people that we agree with come and engage with people we agree with.
Yeah, man.
So
the sheep got to be able to intellectually struggle with the what do you call him? The sheep herder.
Yeah. Well,
So
me and you going to hell. Maybe, hopefully, His Holiness Jared, Holy
he
speak
who
his,
descends,
his
get it straight.
I hope
He
you
who
put in a good
descends.
word with your murder cult God for us, because me and Geechee in trouble. But he gave you a spiritual high five.
Yes, if in fact he who I descend from is listening, I might put in a word for you. We'll see how the rest of the show go.
Look out for your boy, man. Look out for your boy.
Real quick, speaking of disagreement, I know we're going to talk about MarcLamontHill in a minute, and but I'd like to, if I can, just squeeze in here a bit of praise and, again, slight disagreement. I mentioned this on the remix yesterday. MarcLamontHill, I think, has been doing, and I think, Geechee, we might I might slightly disagree with both of you on this one when we get to it, but I think, relatively speaking, he's been doing yeoman's work, if I can make a Navy reference, in mainstream media space defense of logic around Palestine and Israel. But he tweeted the other day one of those things that I'm defensive about, and I admit it, around academics not stepping up and defending Palestine and walking off ivory tower style, And I just wanted to again point out, I mentioned it yesterday, but there's something, even more has somewhat gone on to sort of make my point that I want to share here. That there are faculty who do things, who do attempt to defend Palestine and are themselves attacked for it. And I just like to acknowledge that fact is real and exists, and that people like, in this case, Professor Russell Rickford up there at Cornell University, who gave a speech recently, and I would argue in defense of logic, has been condemned for being seen as defending Palestine. And I bring this up, and I want to point out to all the jokes around me being petty, I want to claim my credit for some principle here, because Rickford and I have had a word or two over his, I thought, overt passing and inappropriate condemnation of our work criticizing Manning Marables a couple of years ago. And Rickford, even though he and I had been in touch with one another and had been in contact with one another, without mentioning to me, publicly took shots at our work and never gave us a chance to build. But that never, so all that aside, he was correct in his speech, and I'll just read an excerpt. I'll just show a little bit of an excerpt here of what I think got him in most trouble. But I think he was right to say, until we end the occupation, until we end the settler colonial project, until we end apartheid, everywhere is war. Everywhere is war. Everywhere is war. I close with a word for the young people, particularly the students who are losing their fear. It's such a beautiful thing to see unfold. So I just wanted to, I encourage people. There is, I can put the link in the chat. There is, or people, I'll put the link in the chat to sign the change.org petition in defense of his free speech, and that representative of other faculty who are trying to make the appropriate use of our position to stand in defense of against genocide, et cetera, and so forth, but who are attacked for it. So there it is. All right, that was it. That was all I wanted to say on that, and I appreciate that. We can move on, but and the link is in the chat for those who might want to sign.
But that's an extremely old tactic of ignoring someone and then pretending they failed to speak out. I mean, every single academic I know is not only anti-Zionism, that I know personally is anti-Zionist and made a statement, but you can't keep bringing on and they don't give platforms to the anti-Zionist struggles, especially in times of relative calm, and the times of relative calm when the conflict is essentially just one-sided, and there is no active resistance. So they ignore you and then condemn you for being quiet. When they ignore you when you speak. So that's old. That they do that against all oppressed population. It's no different than when there's a police shooting and then people say, "Oh, black people speak out when it's a cop that kills black people, but they don't speak out when black people kill other black people." When all throughout the community there's various anti-violence and peace, and they pull that shit against all oppressed populations.
Right on. Okay. Right on.
So
yeah, go ahead.
No,
Geechee.
I mean, I have to admit, I probably was having my expectations too high for Mark, especially after seeing him handle a couple people on his show. But I just feel like one.
You're talking about when he went on Breakfast Club?
Yeah, when he went on the Breakfast Club, I feel like one, the fact that Breakfast Club interviewed the dude from ADL, then Mark, and then Mark opens up by saying, "Well, we agree." But I just feel like Charlamagne said a whole bunch of shit, including envy, that Mark could have checked. Although Mark did share some video.
Inmate.
Yeah, that was
what happened?
He's no longer DJ NV. He's DJ Inmate.
Your boy going down. But no, I think
that's
Mark
not funny. Nobody should go to jail.
I think Mark did share some stuff that can lead people to come into a better analysis and conclusion. But I think there was also a bunch of conflation and conceding that he didn't have to do. And I don't know if I don't know if it's a matter of him, like you said earlier, him trying to come back to the show, or him actually agreeing with the shit. Because at one point he did say he agreed with Hamas charter saying, "We want to kill Jews," and that's not what the charter said.
Well, I did look up the charter, and I think it does say that.
Well, the charter
the 1988 charter.
Well, that's what I'm saying. But there's two, because there's one on Hamas on Hamas link. But if you're looking at the charter that has a quote from their scripture, and then their interpretation of that quote, that's something else. But the Israeli or the Christians have quotes about killing people as well. So I don't know if you're gonna take a quote from their book and say that that's what they're.
Well, hold on. That's two separate issues. Whether other people talk about genocide is separate from whether Hamas does, and it to me is. I was just looking at it this morning, and it's not just the biblical reference. It's stated. Well, I'm talking about the one specifically for 1988, which I understood was the one that was still in use. So I may be wrong on that. But my point, though, there's a couple points about that I really wanted to get, because to me it's clearly does say that it's because they point out that pointing both to that biblical reference and to their stated. Okay, Ricky's saying it's not in use, so I don't know. They changed the charter. My point is,
it don't matter.
Right. To me, the real issue is Hamas had been first of all, the real issue is Israel is occupying and colonizing them. Hamas gets themselves elected. If that's the people, if that's the representative, the legit democratic representative of the people, so be it. If whether the charter said that or doesn't, it's still being claimed to be saying that by people to this day, and only to justify the ongoing occupation and settler colonial occupation of those people, not to actually deal with the conditions that might offer alternatives for people to choose should they want to address and correct the problem. So in other words, even if the charter did say that, every other effort and avenue that they have attempted to redress this horrific situation has been prevented. So to then turn around after the conclusion by some that military action is necessary to point to their charter at any point that it may or may not have said whatever it said, to justify condemnation and reprisals and worse abuse, and to MarcLamontHill's point, to accurately point out that not only are they engaged in collective punishment, but they're also breaking international law in a secondary sense by the disproportionate response being involved in what's going on there as well. So really, that was really the point I was trying to get at. It doesn't matter to me whether or not the charter says that. If in fact it is a response to oppression, and if in fact, based on the United Nations definitions of genocide, even before Israel engages in all the bombing, the simple colonization and pen that the Palestinians are held in is itself a slow motion genocidal, I believe. Fits under that international law definition of international law, or at least should. So, and that was it. I'll stop there.
No, I put a little clip. Well, I just mixed up a couple of the questions that they had. Some Mark response, but then some clips from us. But
and yes, Ricky, of course, right. Thank you very much again, Ricky. Yes, and as I've mentioned, we've also mentioned as well. I appreciate Ricky's frustration with some of our shortcomings, but that is, we did point out, I and others have pointed out on the platform, that Israel supported the development of Hamas against the secular and more radical other formations. So, but anyway, so Mark, I thought, did a good job of at least mentioning that. I thought Mark, again, he is an Al Jazeera host. He is a Griot host. He is someone who wants to be in those spaces, and he was set up from jump by having to respond out the gate, as you already mentioned, to them saying, hey, we just interviewed the head of the ADL, Greenblatt, who gave us his view, having set that as a standard and a basis for an approach and a frame. So it puts, I don't know Mark that well, but it puts people in that position in a defensive almost corner where they are forced to say, or compelled at least, or encouraged to say something along the lines of, well, where we do agree is that all of this is horrific, as Mark started off the interview. But I thought I thought relative to that space, he had to break down a lot of the history very quickly, getting into some of the nuance for Charlemagne, or as because I also went and found Funkmaster Flex recent broadcast where he continues to call Charlemagne lesser charged Leonard for having again back 20 years ago accepted a lesser charge on that R word claim against a 15-year-old.
No, there's still stuff rumbling.
There's still stuff coming. Oh, there's still stuff, I know, but that was the particular reference that Flex was making in that, calling him lesser charge Leonard. So he kept saying, look here, lesser charge Leonard.
Very small community. Hit that clip real quick, and that, I guess we can come up with
what clip am I hitting?
In the chat, private chat, the Instagram clip.
The first one?
Well, they're the same, but I just
they're the
realized.
same? Okay. Hold on. Dead air.
Jonathan Greenblatt here, the head of the ADL, and of course he's I would say pro-Israel. That's safe to say, right?
Yeah.
Yes. And Mark, I was thinking about all the people that I know who've been to Israel, been to Pakistan, who've been speaking about this issue for a long time.
For a long time.
Mark has not only just been one of them. Mark has taken bullets.
Now, you did say their attack was not by the rules, right? Of war.
And neither are Israel's.
Right. So now with Israel talking and I guess sending flyers and pamphlets out and says, we're giving you 24, 48 hours to leave Gaza. We're going to start bombing Gaza. And I heard this morning on the news that said, the hospitals are saying we can't get out. We can't get these people out because by the time we try to get them out, they will die. Right.
Yep.
So if, let's say, Hamas is not following the rules, a lot of people say, well, why should Israel follow the rules?
Palestinian land being settler colonized.
What is your thoughts on, Jonathan was also upset with some chapters of Black Lives Matter supporting
Black Lives Matter Chicago.
Yeah. It was a couple of chapters actually that were supporting Palestine and Hamas. What's your thought on that? And the reason we asking all these questions is because, I'm not versed. I don't know if Charlamagne is versed, but
I'm not versed. I guess if they want to, my thing would be pass the microphone to somebody who knows what they're talking about. I guess if they want to, my thing would be pass the microphone to somebody who knows what they're talking about. I guess if they want to, my thing would be pass the microphone to somebody who knows what they're talking about. I guess I keep getting slightly confused because we talk about Hamas and Palestinian citizens, and I wonder if that's fair. And the reason I say that because it feels like Hamas is willing to sacrifice the Palestinian people because they have to know you're not going to win a war with Israel. They had to know when they committed that act of terror what the response was going to be, and they had to know that so many innocent Palestinians were going to be killed because of it.
This motherfucker.
Spitting on Christians, mocking and celebrating the murder of Palestinians, committing violent hate crimes against Palestinians, watching Gaza get carpet bombed from a cliffside for entertainment. Half of Israeli high schoolers don't think Arabs should have the right to vote. Another poll showed that almost half of Israeli Jews don't want Arabs teaching their kids. Not only are these views widely held in Israeli society, they're also represented in government, which codifies these sentiments into laws. In 2018, Israel passed the nation-state law, a law which has constitutional status, which says the right to exercise national self-determination, i.e. have rights, is the exclusive right of Jews, no one else. There's also the Nakba law, which makes it illegal to acknowledge the Nakba, the expulsions of Palestinians that were needed to found Israel.
But we also have to recognize that it's not like things were getting fixed and Hamas went and messed them up. They were dying anyway. Palestinians are dying every single day. Those hospitals already don't have enough power. People die. Those hospitals are death camps anyway.
Man. Can you explain Hamas's relationship to the Palestinian government, or is Hamas the Palestinian government?
They say a lot of people that Hamas is even what Jonathan Greenblatt said was they're setting up in churches, they're setting up in hospitals, they're setting up in schools, they're setting up in daycares.
I have yet to see intelligence reports to say that. Mm-hmm. The problem is they say Hamas is everywhere. They say Hamas is everywhere and they have tunnels everywhere. So then when you blow up a school, that school is filled with children. And they say, well, yeah, but Hamas was in there. The narrative is constructed as if Palestinian people stand in front of their babies with guns and force you to kill both of them. Right? That's the narrative.
This framing is completely wrong. The day the counteroffensive was launched, every major political party and faction in Palestine wrote statements calling for an intensification of resistance on all fronts. Fatah, the Popular Front for the Liberation of Palestine, the Democratic Front for the Liberation of Palestine, the Palestine People's Party, the Lion's Den, Palestinian Islamic Jihad. Well, some of these groups are religious and some are secular, some are socialist and some are nationalist. All of them are united by the fact that they want to end the Israeli occupation. All Palestinians are sick and tired of the 75-year genocidal occupation of Palestine. So why should anyone in the West be forced to condemn the resistance when no one in Palestine has?
Thousands of Palestinians have been killed and we're pretending like it's just okay. Mm-hmm. And it's not.
Yeah, I wonder about that too. Like, why do people have to be pro-Israel or pro-Palestine? Like, I'm pro, I don't want to see kids get killed. I'm pro, I don't want to see innocent civilians get killed.
Innocent people, yeah.
I'm anti-war. Like, why do people have to pick a side. Like, I don't understand.
Why do we have to
They
pick
say
a
they're
side?
a government, but their charter just says they want to destroy Israel and kill Jewish people. So it's like, can you negotiate with somebody if that's literally your charter?
There's a problem that you have a lot of people who claim that when you talk negatively against Zionism, that you're automatically anti-Semitic, that you're automatically, and all of this really means is that you are dissenting from this order of white supremacy.
I guess that's why I don't like conflating the two, Hamas and Palestinians, because Hamas charter literally does say they want to destroy Israel and kill Jewish people.
But this is also a story of empowered resistance and Palestinians resisting this history that we're talking about. And you'll see, and I'm sure maybe you've already discussed on the show and at different times, but last Saturday when this story was unfolding, there was
Did the video stop?
Oh, I think something happened on my
this
end.
jubilation in Palestine that Palestinians in Gaza were breaking out of their prison. Palestinians in Gaza have been under siege for 16 years. Everything that goes in, everything that goes out, people, medicine, food, everything goes through Israel. And last Saturday, the walls that keep Palestinians caged in Gaza were physically torn down.
Is there some history for you from Zionist to Palestine solidarity? And then how do you see maybe other Zionists or even Israel in support of Palestine? Like what do those numbers look like? How many people is it?
I grew up in Philadelphia and the suburbs of Philadelphia in a conservative Zionist household. I could tell you stories about what I was taught, what I, grew up in a conservative Jewish household. And really, sort of long story short, me and my path was when I was getting into high school, when I was starting to get politically involved, this was an issue I thought I knew something about because it's an issue that I've been hearing about my whole life. And then very quickly, first book I read, started reading, I read Edward Said, I read Noam Chomsky, started reading some of these authors and quickly figured out that A, I'd been lied to, B, that there was a whole entire history that I had never been told. And, as I started getting then politically involved, it was an issue that I got politically engaged in, partly out of that desire to a feeling of accountability.
Last hour we had Jonathan Greenblatt.
So can I just go ahead? Well,
no,
I just
real quick a question. So Diallo first. I know we are kind of on the other side of the being the interviewee and having to check the interviewer as opposed to the interviewer checking the interviewee. So my question is, do you feel like Mark was effective in that space? I don't know how much you watch. If you watch all,
can we? But that's what I wanted to hold off on because before we go too far, because I wanted to insert this correction and update. Okay. So, again, can I mute Diallo because that echo is disturbing? But from the Iran primer.usip.org that was just updated last night. In 2017, a revised Hamas manifesto included 3 departures from the 1988 charter from U.S. diplomat Aaron David Miller, told the Islamists. First, Hamas accepted the establishment of a Palestinian state separate from Israel, although only provisionally. Its statement on principles and policies said, quote, Hamas rejects any alternative to the full and complete liberation of Palestine from the river to the sea. However, without compromising its rejection of the Zionist entity and without relinquishing any Palestinian rights, Hamas considers the establishment of a fully sovereign and independent Palestinian state with Jerusalem as its capital along the lines of the 4th of June 1967, with the return of the refugees and the displaced to their homes from which they were expelled to be a formula of national consensus, end quote. Second, it attempted to distinguish between Jews or Judaism and modern Zionism. Hamas said that its fight was against the racist, aggressive, colonial, and expansionist Zionist project, Israel, but not against Judaism or Jews. The updated platform also lacked some of the anti-Semitic language of the 1988 charter. Third, the document did not reference the Palestinian Muslim Brotherhood from which Hamas was originally an offshoot. So in just that three-pronged summary, it feels like 100% of the framing of the mainstream press, even on that issue alone, is wrong. Again, I got this from the Iran Primer, the United States Institute of Peace. I'm putting the link in the chat. Coco is asking for the source. Of course, I'm going to supply sources. I don't ever do nothing without sources, so it's in the chat. You all can check me on that. But it seems like that would be an important update that most news organizations would want to include. All right, go ahead, Diallo. My bad.
So let me finish the question. So, was he effective in that space? Is it a need to say he is liberal? He was being liberal. Is there a cost for the moments that he concedes to things that weren't true and not directly responding to the ignorance of both of the hosts? Like, there was a lot of shit that both of them were saying. So what is your—
Yes, I think he was ineffective in that space. I think I do think that on most of the issues he falls on the correct side, but I think he was extremely ineffective in that space. And that space, and that's not a condemnation of Mark. Can I call him Mark or Mr. Hill? But that space is structured for anyone coming with radical or even a truly progressive analysis to be ineffective. I don't think effectiveness can be secured in that space. But I have to say something else, because this has been eating away at me. To both the Hamas apologist and the Hamas condemners, the fact that we are sitting here discussing Hamas means that they're winning. Even we who sit here and try to defend Hamas or try to clear the record on Hamas or give the true origins of Hamas or argue that the tactics and strategy of Hamas, the fact that we, throughout this current uprising, I ain't heard the motherfucking IDF mentioned. I hear Hamas 1,000 times. I ain't heard the IDF. I ain't heard the Mossad. I ain't heard nobody talk about Mossad. I ain't heard nobody talk about CIA, the United States military, the UN Security Council. The fact that we are sitting here discussing the justification or the condemnation of the victims of genocide instead of discussing the genociders. It's just amazing to me. I'm not saying you. I'm talking about the larger, that whole interview. Hamas. I just went to and saw this other community member, this prominent member of the community for consciousness progress, and he's talking about Hamas and Hezbollah. I don't think. Only thing I don't even think, and I know, especially if you're going on mainstream media, I think it is their objective to keep us debating and discussing and justifying and defending Hamas. But if we're defending the Hamas and we go into these discussions with the Zionists, defending Hamas and trying to say, well, Hamas this, well, Hamas is one of the civilians. And nobody talks about the IDF. Nobody talks about the Mossad. I mean, that to me is still being a Hamas apologist, because I think Hamas, I support, and it was the same thing with the invasion, the war on terror, and we're all talking about the Iraqi insurgents. The Iraqi insurgents, are they justified? Are they wrong? Are they truly terrorists or not? Iraqi insurgents. We're talking about in Afghanistan. the Taliban, or they're coming back, the Taliban. It's like the genociders, the IDF, the U.S. military, they're legitimate, they're fixed, they're a force, they exist, and that's just air. That's air. They're just there. So we have to debate these various groups. It's like he said, the Israelis, the U.S. government, are not fighting against Hamas. They are not fighting against Hamas. The one guy that was in the video we just saw saying this is a Palestinian uprising. They are not bombing Hamas. They are not fighting Hamas. They are not trying to prevent Hamas. They are committing genocide against. So I think the strategy going forward for anyone who is on the correct side, anti-Zionist position, that when these Zionists or both siders come to us, we should be like, Hamas is not the issue. I think someone else accurately said the genocide. I mean, Mark said the genocide predates Hamas. The genocide predates Hamas. The genocide continues whether there is resistance or passivity. We have an example with the West Bank and Gaza, or in those two areas. One side is governed by the PLO. One side is doing what the Zionists say they should do. You know, they should be peaceful. They should not attack. They should petition the world community. They should appeal. The one side that's doing everything that the Zionist says that the Palestinians still do are suffering more aggressive land theft. They are having more aggressive Zionist expansion into the peaceful occupied territory than the others. So I don't understand how we can talk about that to me would be no different than we talking about the Nazis advancing on the eastern or western front, and we spend most of our time talk about the people who are resisting in the woods and the little bands, little guerrilla bands that have come together to attack the advancing Nazi blitzkrieg, whether or not, well, what's their charter? Oh, how many innocents have they killed? And I just think we have fallen into a trap set by the propaganda, the corporate, Zionist, capitalist, Western, racist, white propaganda apparatus that we spend so much time talking about Hamas. To me, you go into somebody's land, you commit genocide to them, you forfeit any consideration from those people. They have what I'm with Neely Fuller on, that maximum emergency compensatory justice. So I don't think Hamas should be within our discussion. We should be talking about the IDF, Mossad, the United States military. Nobody's even talking about the military infrastructure that the United States is sending over there. They got super tankers and goddamn aircraft carriers in the Straits of Hormuz, and the United States is fully engaged in this military conflict. They're not passive. We talk about the money they send, because there's people out here trying to conflate that with they send money to Israel and our reparations. The United States U.S. military infrastructure is being fully deployed against these two people who and so I'm sick of talking about Hamas. I think all we should say is Hamas has every right to do whatever they think they can do in order to defend themselves. And this ain't even Hamas. And we need to start saying Palestinians. We're not talking about Hamas. We're talking about the Palestinians, because that's who they're attacking. That's who's dying. And this is not a Hamas versus Israel. This is Zionist. This is Israel. This is the Western world capitalist hegemony attacking all of us, really. But in this particular instance, their focused attack on the Palestinian people in the occupied territories in the West Bank and Gaza.
So I believe this is a very similar situation and argument that people are arguing in the Sahel and also in IT. But Jared, will you agree? Well, you kind of said you think he was effective in the space. He did say it happened before Hamas, but he also made sure that he was clear that he disagreed with Hamas.
But I didn't say, I don't think I said he was effective, because I agree with Diallo. There is no effective from our perspective in that space. What I was saying was he did as well as could be expected in that space for someone who wants to get back into that space. So, and I'm not even accusing him of making some sort of conscious effort to censor himself. I'm saying that he's aware of how to frame an argument for a mainstream audience, and he does as well with extending logic and reality into those discussions in those spaces as I think can be done. But to say that he was effective, no. So sorry, what was the rest of the question?
You can say he was tactical.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was very tactical. He was articulate. But in terms of effective, I don't think it's obvious he didn't change lesser charge. He didn't change he didn't change DJ inmate. He didn't change their positions. And I would say that even though we don't have the data, I don't think anybody going into that interview would gain greater clarity or change their positions as well. I think as we watch, as people who are already anti-Zionist, we can find things in there we will celebrate. And but I think pro-Zionist, as they watch that, pro-genociders, as they watch it, and especially because of the effectiveness of lesser charge and inmate, everybody can walk away from that and that's what makes those shows popular. That being able to straddle the fence that way and both sides genocide. So I don't think Mark was wrong in his assessments, but I don't think he was effective in changing the narrative.
So Jared, I mean, I guess the second part of it you answer, but would you say that there is a way to disagree and confront the ignorance or lies and still be welcome back?
No. I mean, not in any real meaningful way. Not more than what we saw from Mark in that interview. So no, I just don't. I mean, and first of all, inmate and lesser charge and their producers would assure that if he ended up really trying to do that they would intervene, they would shut it down. They were already setting sort of frames and barriers to the conversation and putting them speed bumps to his analysis just in the way they were asking questions and responding. So if he had gotten any more aggressive or assertive or militant or effective by our standards, they would have absolutely been interrupting and cutting him off and or censoring the whole joint, just unplugging the whole episode. The purpose was to have Greenblatt. That was the purpose. Get Greenblatt on, and then they can bring Mark on to seemingly offer some relative balance, because they know when they leave the studio, even they know, when inmate and lesser charge leave the studio, everybody they talk to is raising, if it comes up at all, is raising some sort of criticism of Israel. So they already know what's happening in outside. They just know what they cannot bring inside.
Right.
I'll stop there.
Yeah, and listen, I think he'd have been more effective if he walked on that show and was like, listen, I have a solution to the Israel-Palestine conflict. I think that the Zionists who are seeking a homeland should get with DJ Envy and his partners and consult with them on some real estate and get them people they land back. And I think that would have been more effective because, I mean, when we try to sit across from literal clowns, literal coons and minstrels, when you sit across from minstrels and try to and respect them and engage with them like they're serious people, I think you give legitimacy. I think Mark did more to legitimize those two minstrels than he did to articulate the atrocities and articulate the suffering. So when you he should have got down on their level. When they go low, we kick them in the face.
And the only reason, and that's the only reason I added that caveat initially, that if he wanted to return, because had he done that would have been the grand opening, grand closing. You know what I mean? It would have been,
but if we want to deal with effectiveness,
no, you're right,
and effective.
You're right. I mean, it would have been great. And had they not censored it and cleaned it off of YouTube so the rest of us could see it, it would have been even better.
Right. Because listen, if somebody get naked, you get naked. You don't stand there adjusting your tie while the person across from you is butt naked. Everybody get naked. We either all gonna be proper or we gonna all be naked. It's either one. So you throw down the tomahawk. I think he shouldn't have sat across from them two absurd individuals
Right.
And try to articulate or plead the case.
Argument. So had Geechee been able to secure me that interview with lesser charge, I should have not gone at all, because that would have been legitimating the platform.
Or you could have walked in there with your red nose and your clown shoes and threw down. But that's it. That's your only option.
Right.
That's your only option, because that's what he did. You see how he played Dr. Fubar. And they pretty much mined his interview for a bunch of memes and quotables.
So we gonna use a little bit of autonomy for the or control by the audience. So we got a couple more stories, and maybe y'all can tell us where we go next. We got 50 Cent and U.S. imperialism. We have Black Love Summit hosted by Jared and Diallo.
Let me start with what that meant. I don't know what that meant either, but let me start with the 50 Cent, because this led to Diallo.
No, you're not supposed to choose the group. The chat.
The chat's supposed to choose. Okay, my fault. Hold on, I misread the assignment.
Jared's a dictator. He's a professor. He wants to control control.
I'm used to that control. You're right.
Okay, the other option is Diallo fights with a militarist, because she was talking about his mama. Black military propaganda. So
my mama didn't deserve that.
Black military propaganda or Black Love Summit look like already.
Black Love Summit. But Ricky said, "Let me decide." Okay.
Yeah, Ricky said. Well, boom. Black Love Summit was the first one up. Go ahead.
They should call it the Black Love Climax.
Wait, what?
That would
Summit Climax. Isn't that the same thing?
Yeah, that would be a better.
Yeah, I'm a propagandist my damn self. I'm all about
so
the Black Love Climax.
Before we get to the Black Love Summit, I think I used
pause.
Climax or climate, whatever. But I used some of their ending conclusions from their 2022 to ask you experts some questions, because both of y'all are Black love connoisseurs, aficionados, Black love legendary. Anyway, so they talk about transparent conversations or discussions during marriage. They're teaching people about divorce, parenting, therapy, all this other shit. So my question is, for both of y'all, how did y'all find your wife and or notice that she was the one? What was it about your wife that you was like, she's the one? Brothers, go ahead and share.
Mine is easy. I know but go ahead, Diallo. I'll defer to my elder.
I found my wife the old school.
I forgot I'm older than you. My bad.
Almost. If you stop aging and give me a couple of years, I catch up.
Okay, there we go.
Anyway, I met my wife old school way. I just saw her. She walked into a venue, and I went up and put the Mac down. And I made a slick comment, said something clever, and she responded receptively. And I was like, "I got you." But it's she likes to retell the story, and to me, it's not really that interesting. But what's funny was I met her at a poetry reading at Brooklyn Moon Cafe. And it was an open mic night, and she was just there as a spectator. And she sat in front of me, so I was just talking over her shoulder casually, asking questions. And she was kind of working in the industry, like I think she was working for Trace magazine and doing all these velvet rope stuff while I was in the trenches fighting for my people. And I think, if I remember correctly, I was fighting for the people, and she was up there with the bourgeois entertainment and high culture wine sippers. And I got up and did a poem. I don't know what it did, but I got up and recited a poem. And when I came off stage, she was gone. After we had a very nice conversation, I got her name. I didn't get them 7 digits. As for you young folks, that means phone. I didn't get them digits. I didn't get nothing. She just left. And, like my wife is like 6'1", 6'2". So she I'm looking around the crowd, and I don't see this big, tall woman with the dreadlocks. She's gone. So then anyway, I go back to the open mic the next week, and me and my homeboy come, And I'm standing by the door to sign the open mic, and she came through the door with a date. She came through the door on a date. That heifer. And so I see her come through, and I'm like flabbergasted. Right? So anyway, she sits down. I wait for her, and then I sit down, and I ask, I'm like, "Oh, you on a date?" And she looks at me like, "Who is you?" Right? And so anyway, her date got into a fight with the next dude who was up, and he got into a fight and stormed out of the venue. And he turned to her and was like, "Come on," and stormed out. And of course, my wife, being who she was before I met her, she's like, "Come on." And so when the dude storms out, she let him leave, like, "Bye." And I'm like, bingo, jackpot. So that time I made sure I got them 7 digits. And that dude, I think he moved to Africa and magnified into a lion or something. And happily ever after. And that's how, but I didn't know she was the one back then, but we dated for a couple of years. And, what really I think solidified for me, because she's going to tell y'all a whole different story. So don't ask her, just take my word for everything that's being said here. But we would have these long, same corny shit, I'm embarrassed to say, those 5-hour twirling the phone cord conversations, talking 5, 6, 7 hours in the night, and then going to work the next morning all droggy and groggy. But I think it was her ability, to engage intellectual, or what it Dead Prez, mind sex, that corny shit. I hate talking about this kind of corny shit, being the G alpha that I am. But I think it was our ability, we had a lot of the same overlaps. She wasn't no swine eater, so she wasn't a swine eater. She wasn't a snow bunny. She filled out. I looked over her wife resume, and it was all her references checked out. And so I had decided, as Umar had instructed, that we had to build a powerful Black family for the community. And so, I just followed the Umar. Basically, I followed the Umar protocol. Thank you, Dr. Umar, for giving me, even though you couldn't apply it your damn self. Thank you for giving me the formula for.
No Umar shade. I got a new Umar voiceover.
I'm sorry, Dr. Fubar.
You sure do.
We got new voicemail. But go ahead.
Yeah, I saw it.
Go ahead, Jared.
But yeah, that's it. Really nothing out of the ordinary. Just, boy meets girls, engage in long conversation, go for walks and then even the walks wasn't even all that romantic, because this was Brooklyn. And if you ever been on the Atlantic coast, it's cold and grimy, but we go for long walks. We bought bikes and would cycle around Prospect Park, and she joined the food co-op, which was a absolute prerequisite for any woman that wanted to kick it with me. She became a food co-op member, and when she joined the food co-op, I'm like, that's it. We bonded for life.
Jared, what was it? How did you know your wife was the one?
Because she introduced herself at a table full of people and used a word I had not ever heard or did not know how to define, and the way she presented herself, it just sunk in. It locked in, and even before my consciousness caught up to the fact, it was a wrap, and I'll always remember that moment. This again, physically the opposite of me, a small brown-skinned woman. We were just going around the table. Everybody's introducing themselves, and there was some stunners at the table. Let's not get it twisted. So it was, and I didn't know anybody, so I'm looking around like, what's what? And the way she just sat up and spoke and made eye contact with the room and said the word efficacious, which at the time I had never heard. I was like, damn, if you saying things I don't know and you speak like that, I was like, it's so I made up an excuse. You talk about old school. I made up an excuse to ask her. We walked out, and I said, and my line was, do you know where the phone is? A phone is. And there was a pay phone right behind her, and she turned around and she was like, and even that response Yeah, I have no game. Even that response made me confirm. I was like, yeah, she just played me. So it took a while. From there, it took some time. And she was involved. She kind of like what you were saying. She was involved where she was dating someone and I was trying to date someone's and so it took some time, but that was the moment, and I've always remembered that moment. So yeah, that's it. That's basically.
So basically, y'all advice is she's single if she ain't married. That's what y'all advice been so far.
Well, in this case, I say this was the only time I've ever been this confident. I remember walking into a room where she was with the man she was dating at the time. And it was weird. I just looked at them and the way I felt like he was looking at me, and the vibe was like, we all know what it is. Like, we just gonna wait this out. I've never felt that way. I was like, I got no issue with this. I was like, take it to. I know this is on its way. I was just like, I didn't even have to say anything. And I felt like he looked at me and like knew. Oh, I'm about to lose her to you. And I was like, yeah, you are.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, you are.
Oh, sweet Jesus. Listen, hey, God. Listen,
respectfully.
I think the lesson here is to all.
It was all.
It's inspiration to all stalkers. Stalking does eventually pay off. So don't give up
on it. It wasn't that. It was just patience. I wasn't stalking. It was patience.
Oh, that's what y'all call it now. Your Honor, I am guilty of patience.
Let me keep this black love climax going. The black love climax. So, brothers, as two black husbands of two black wives, how do you think, especially in relationship, how do you think about therapy under capitalism, imperialism, and anti-blackness? How's that discussed? How's that thought of when you think about your relationship, therapy under capitalism, imperialism, and anti-blackness?
Actually, early in our relationship, I had some views. Like I said, I came into like I was being half serious when I said I went to the Umar school because I had a lot of sexist and reactionary beliefs that unfortunately that were reinforced and sustained by my many years within the Black liberation struggle and various Black or Black nationalist, Black militant ideologies. So, early in our relationship, my wife went and told on me to some of my mentors and elders, like, I'm about to kick this dude to the curb. You better holler at your boy. And one of the people that we always credit with helping us, helping me specifically, but us and also with Dale Jones. She went and told Dale Jones on me because, and I was mad as hell because I'm like, God damn, I want to be seen as, and he was in with at that time he was seeing before he passed his wife, Sister Quarendon. And she was very big on veganism, holistic health, and all that time. And so anyway, long story short, what we sought out wasn't necessarily be defined as therapy, because it's hard to go from living by yourself. And me, really, I've been on my own since I was in the 8th grade. I didn't really have anything to resemble a traditional upbringing. And like just being responsible and answerable to anybody, somebody checking on your time and checking your comings and goings was an alien concept to me from childhood. So anyway, long story short, I would say it wasn't necessarily therapy, but it was mentorship and understanding that even though our commitment was intimate and personal, our obligations were community based, but where my obligations and her obligations expanded to our families, to our communities, and to our shared mission and shared life goals. And so that was not just told to us, it was demonstrated to us. So I'm not against therapy, but a lot of times, to me, some things can't be therapied. Predatory behavior, abusive behavior. I think, especially when I see, because knowing people who went through religious-based therapies, and a lot of times there's certain things can't be therapied. Now, and I hate to use this term, but I like it, a more perfect union. So in terms of trying to refine and have more practical relationships and try to structure relationships, how to be more responsive and more be more responsive to your partners, things like that. Certain things can be therapied or mentored or instructed. But a lot of times, I think a lot of therapies perpetuate unhealthy relationships. So I think therapy should be able to cultivate something that is healthy. But if the root, if the foundation, if the seeds are corrupt, I think a lot of times therapy can delay the necessary breaking of a relationship or the dissolution of a bond where if it is therapy. So I think if you are to seek therapy, I think you should seek a therapy that is aware of your culture, coming out of your culture, that is conscious, culturally oriented therapy. And I think you have to go into it with not just the purpose of preserving the relationship, but go into it with the purpose of having the best resolution for all people involved, mainly the two partners and their offspring and the extended family. And sometimes therapy, I think a good therapist will say, hey, y'all need to get the fuck away from each other if that's the ultimate goal. So I worry about therapy because I've seen some couples go into therapies and it's very toxic, and the whole impetus for therapy is trying to stay together when they got no business being together. But I don't discourage therapy. I've never gotten any type of relationship therapy, but early on in the first couple of years of our relationships, we had some mentors and older elders in from the movement, from our organizations, and from within our family. You know, my aunties would all take my wife aside. My wife's father sat me down, put that big ass hand on my shoulder. You know, so I think this concept of relationships, just two people, there is no such thing as unless you and that person live on an island. Relationships are never just two people.
For me, I was spoiled because, as I've shared before, at my wedding, on my wedding day, at my wedding, my cousin-in-laws pulled me aside and said, if you mess up, you're going to get messed up. If you mess up, you will be messed up, in no uncertain terms. And I appreciated it then and always do. So that's how I've maintained a happy marriage.
Let's see, stalking and violence.
But
I think you're shattering a lot of myths here today, Jared.
In fact, my actual that is a factual story, and what my actual response was, it was, as long as you tell your sons to repeat that at our eventual children's, as long as my point was, as long as this is a generational deal made for anyone entering this family, I'm cool with that. But
that way.
Yeah. So, but in general, I'm not. So again, another way I'm spoiled is that we happen to be, very close friends with, I think, among the finest African-centered counseling psychologists in if not the area, if not the world, at least the area. So we've had, sort of the benefit, or I will say I've had in particular the unofficial benefit of that friendship, because I am critical to Geechee, your point of and to the extent that any therapy is meant to adjust people to accept these conditions and not address the conditions that often negatively impact our psyche. So that said, I'm not at all opposed to people seeking help or helping others, so we've benefited from that, and I certainly, for me, the issue has always been personally adjusting to the reality of marriage and a desire to stay married versus what I thought it would be like before marriage. And I think that's one of the crises people fall into, is that we have these ideas of what it's supposed to be and what we want it to be, and the reality doesn't fit that, and we rebel and we don't adjust, and then we leave. To to Diallo's point, though, at some point, sometimes it's necessary, and it's better for everybody involved if people separate. But if what I think has worked for us is that I have to be willing to make the adjustments necessary so that let go and let wife, happy life, all of these things I fully believe. And but I'm oversimplified, but it's all been done in the context of building with someone who I know has our best interests at heart, who wants to help me thrive and advance. So these are constructive criticisms. There's balance. There's attempts to compromise, and there's just a deep desire to stay together and to create the family. So with that in mind, but I do want to say one other thing, and then I won't belabor the point, but I think that I hesitate always to get into these conversations without private, detailed bits, without privacy and detail, because relationships are very particular, and it's impossible to understand what an actual dynamic is from outside that dynamic. And the context, the nuance, the specificity of those relationships, it's hard to create blanket. But anyway, so with that in mind, that's been my general approach to it. Just okay. Yeah.
So we are trying to give you a Black Love Summit that you probably didn't get from there, and you probably won't get from there. And I'll end here with this last question. What's your philosophy, experience, thoughts, desires when it comes to meeting your partner's needs and y'all together meeting the community needs? How has that been? What is that like? What's your philosophy? What's your method, skill? What? When you think about meeting your partner's need and then y'all together meeting the community needs, even if that's even a goal, I assume it is. Go ahead.
I'm not sure. Diallo, if you have a better understanding of the question than the response, please jump in. I'm not.
Preface real quick. So there's this thought that everything that you produce in that relationship is really not for yourself. Like your children is really not your children. It's something that you're producing for the community, and the fruit in which you create in that relationship, good or bad, will impact the community. So essentially, even though you're meeting the needs of your partner, what is that like? And then also the relationship between the two of y'all consciously meeting the needs of the community.
It's kind of weird in terms of meeting their needs. You know, if my partner was solely dependent on me or vice versa, we wouldn't be here. So in terms of, I would say more so meeting your obligations. If we want to say, because meeting the needs, that's hella broad. You know, like my wife, she has a gynecologist, you know, to do things for her I can't do and don't intend to do. You know, but I think that in terms of, I do think there should be, and again, there is no formula. I think if you go into relationships or a lot of these relationship gurus, there is no formula. Because when people formulate these formulas, or if you see a successful relationship, you're dealing with two extremely complex and evolving people. And people will evolve. So to me, it is an ebb and flow. It is I like the term cultivation. If you grow food, you'll find that, you know, there are several factors from the soil, the environment, the sunlight, and then there will be, you know, certain challenges. One year, for some shit is weird, squirrels will bum rush your shit, and the next year the squirrels will stay away. And so then you might, you know, grow certain crops together, peppers and tomatoes or marigolds. And it is a constant cultivation. It's constant work. So you're never going to have like a formula saying, hey, I as the man do this and you as the woman, you do that. Or here are your list of needs and here are my list of needs. And that because it's so dynamic and so changing, I think Jared touched on the desire to be together will help you to navigate and help you to make the constant adjustments. You know, when I met my wife, we were completely different people than we are now. And if I was trying to, if I was like, well, if you expect the person you fell in love with to be the same person you wake up next to 10 years, you either married someone, and I think this drives a lot of this. This drives a lot of this where, and I can only speak from, again, my perspective is, heterosexual, cisgendered, all the things. I'm in when you start to classify who I am and then classify my relationship, it does not translate to others. So long story short, you have to determine on whether or not you want to be in the relationship, whether or not this person is the person you want. And then when you make that conclusion, that will help you to adapt, observation, watching, listening, engaging all your senses, being in proximity with that person. And it's going to be a constant change, which is good, which is really, really a good and fulfilling experience. Rigidity, I think, is a relationship killer. Ego is a relationship killer. Being not, I don't know the term for it, but when you don't respond to the cues, being imperceptive, not being perceptive, or failure to be perceptive is a relationship killer. And I'm trying to give universals, because the things you might have to flex on, and ultimately, more important than knowing your partner is knowing yourself. You have to know what you can tolerate and what you can't tolerate. You have to know your limits, your upper and lower limits. You have to understand your own tolerance. And when you do that internal work, until you do that internal work, you're not even really worthy, or you won't even really be able to be a good partner for someone else to receive. So, but ultimately, if you're going into to fuse your whole life with somebody, to have somebody in your pockets, have somebody in your face, have some damn kids in your refrigerator, and those beautiful little children become giant gangly monsters stomping through your shit, and be able to not only go through that, but to derive benefits, derive fulfillment. The number one thing you need is to be perceptive and adaptable. Perception and adaptation. All these things about you the alpha, you the man, the submissive woman, none of that shit works. You always find, so if I was to give anything, your relationship is as unique as you and that individual are very unique, and the relationship between you and that individual will be just as unique, and nobody has the formula. And I know y'all out here reading Tariq Nasheed's How to Pick Up a Woman, and y'all listening to Dr. Fumar on how to structure your relationship, and y'all listening to
making a comeback
yes, and y'all reading Complementarianism by Imalamu Baruti. Y'all nobody has the formula, and anybody. The first people you reject are the people who do have the formula. They do have some tricks, some characteristics, some features, some advice.
The Godfather said it. The one that comes to you with the plan is the traitor.
Exactly. but it is extremely fulfilling. I wouldn't be who I am today if not for my relationships, and the good times.
Oh, as my wife will tell you, I would literally not be alive. I would literally be dead.
I wouldn't go that far.
No, she has medical.
Even if it's true, don't admit it, Jared. How long you been?
It wasn't my fault. The doctor said it. It's not my fault. I was trying to suppress the message.
See, now you got to play. It is also a chess game. You got.
Coco say if y'all.
Oh, bless her heart.
Dating is so different from now. Oh.
Shit real out here.
Not.
Shit is real out here. But go ahead, Jared. What's your
Ain't nothing changed.
Shit.
Well,
ain't nothing changed. Y'all full of it. Y'all on some BS. Guess what they were saying in the 90s?
Okay.
The same shit. These females out here. Everybody, let me tell you something.
No, it's not the no. Listen, because me and you had this conversation when we did the toxic versus I don't remember the discussion we had a long time ago. The environment, there's difference in environments. I'm not saying the women.
The environment has changed.
Yeah, so I'm saying so it's a little different, right? That's all.
But what that got to do with relationships?
It impacts relationships.
Yes, it does impact relationships.
Didn't somebody write a book, Sex is Better Under Socialism? So that means shit gonna be different. But go ahead, Jared. Yo, if you have something to add to that.
No, I think there's a lot of specificity. I mean, I was just thinking as Diallo was talking. I mean, by the time I was consciously, like, I got to a point where I was like, I'm not messing around anymore. I'm only engaging with women that I can see a clear path to marriage and parenthood with. And I started looking at things very differently at that point, and I was looking at everything from not only obviously physical attraction and the like, but what kind of family would I be marrying into? Because for me, not coming from really any family, I wanted to. I was wanting to make a conscious effort to if I was going to end up with someone who was not similarly situated, that the family I was going to marry into would be workable. So I was looking beyond just my wife. I was looking at, I was looking careful. I looked at, I did pay attention to how was her mother raising her. And I got to see how her mother's mother was raising both of them. And I was appreciative of all of that. So I was trying to get an idea of what but to Diallo's point, everything changes. And then to add to what Diallo said, when the babies come, there's another massive change in the relationship on a variety of levels. So we are evolving, we are changing. The person you marry on that day isn't, and I would argue shouldn't be, the person that you are with 20 years later. So yeah, I don't know to what extent that's helpful. I do struggle a little bit with this because, in particular, what's been said about the nuance involved. I really do hesitate to just outside of some of the core basics of respect and listening and lacks of violence and all the kind of non-extreme things that we would just assume are not involved or we would expect not to be involved. After that, it's very. Do I want to be a caretaker to your in-laws? I would happily do it. The fortunate situation we're in is that there's going to be such a long line of folks. I will not likely be necessary. But yeah.
So I wanted to do this too.
Jared just said, and listen, what Jared just said, I can sum it up. What you do, brothers, you marry up and you trap her. You find a woman that's way out of your league, then you trap her, you catch her. That's what I did too. I married up, and now I get to prance around Chicago like I am somebody, because I'm married into the Mingos, and that name carries a lot of weight here.
Oh wow,
so,
okay.
Good job, man. Good job, because that's exactly what I did too. You go find a woman and you just hold yourself long enough. You hold yourself together long enough until she falls for you, and then after you either get married or she's impregnated, then you bring her around your family.
So let's wrap up our Black Love, Black Power Media, Black Love Climax. Let's correct what our counterparts probably didn't do, right? Their rigid homophobic definition of Black love was plastered all over their event. How do you two brothers define Black love?
Two self-defining Black people that love each other.
Simple.
Is it Diallo? Is it more complicated? Correct me if I'm wrong.
Here's the thing about love. I guess to me, if I had to give a formal definition of love, because love is a cultural, historical, and political concept. And most of y'all, when y'all think of love, it's from a romantic perspective. And what did Scheherazade Ali teach us? She said, you can't be romantic because you ain't a Roman.
Oh,
so
wow.
I think that instead of you don't ask if you don't want this knowledge, brother. You know, we about to go deep.
Wait. Are you telling me you're gonna go to Sherazade and then you're gonna go to Baruti and says kissing is European, so we shouldn't be kissing? You about to say that?
Huh?
You gonna
You don't kiss his.
Wait, let me.
No wonder his woman be frowning in all them photos. Man, listen.
To all the people, all the power, right on. I correct myself. Any number of self-defining black people that love each other. No limitations. No limitations.
But in terms of love, let me tell y'all something about love. We need to engage in what is black love, African love, Kemetic love, because most of the time when we talk about black love, it's nothing more than chocolate-coated white love or chocolate-coated romantic love. And so if we look at what our ancestors understood, there were the two highest aspirations within a relationships was purpose and stability. You know, purpose and stability. So why are we together? What is our shared goal? And how do we create a climate, an environment, an ecosystem, a petri dish, a culture that will facilitate us reaching our highest aspirations, our highest selves? A lot of people, you know, with these flowers, these diamonds, these ships, and I'm not just saying just because I'm a broke brother that can't afford that kind of shit. That's part of it, you know, self-serving. But the other side of that is, you know, when you hashtag Will Smith and Jada Pinkett hashtag goals, you want to be the Jay-Z and Beyonce of your hood. I think this whole concept of capitalist Western sense of love is, like you said, socialism. Sex is better under socialism when you actually value the person as opposed to value the titles and trinkets and things that the person has. So I would say ultimately black love is not revolutionary, but black love facilitates revolution. And it is seemingly contradictory, but it isn't. Black love is a prerequisite and necessary for revolution, but black love should not be revolutionary. Black love should be an ability to not just see yourself within a person, but see that person for who they are. It should be accepting them for who they are. At the same time, you seek to cultivate them into who they can be, a greater self. So it is dynamic, but it does frustrate me that so much black love is pretty much romantic, or the romantic me and you against the world, me and mine. You'll find a lot of possessive language and possessive attitudes, a lot of materialist aspirations. You know, her swag matches my swag. We got matching Jags. So when I see in the popular demonstrations of black love, it's me and my boo coming together to secure the bag. That's chocolate coated romantic love. Whereas black love is me and my boo coming together to not just cultivate each other and support each other into becoming higher and more refined versions of ourselves, but also me and my boo coming together to provide a support network and a launch pad for struggles against the systems and institutions of white domination. And if your relationship and you and your boo ain't revolutionaries, and you're not partners, not just in life, but allies in the struggle against racism, white hegemony, and capitalism, then it pretty don't matter what y'all do.
So in
your
the
kids
words,
won't respect you.
In the words of the prophetic, good, great doctor, air doctor, put some change in the bucket because we know you love it. And that is the end of our summit climax. So where y'all want to go
Black
to
love
next?
climax. And sex is extremely important.
Hey. You got to earn your liberation.
I just wanted that to be the last word on that segment.
Earn your liberation.
Man, y'all Puritans messing everything up for everybody. You puritanical.
Earn your liberation.
high collar, tight waisted,
all that other stuff.
stuffy folks. That's another part of it. You know, really get as good as you can get at sex. All the techniques.
So we got Diallo almost getting beat up by the sister who was a militarist. We got not Umar. I'm sorry. We got the wankster gangster.
That's your fault.
No, we didn't do anything.
Y'all introduced me to that woman. I wouldn't even be connected with her. That's that woman.
With this. I had
y'all don't remember.
I've never seen that lady.
So let's just let everybody get caught up here. I'll refresh this and hit play. So
get your barf bags ready.
Yeah.
Not be mistaken for a cable news gabfest show. We don't care what you look like. We don't care who you voted for, who you worship, what you worship, who you love. It doesn't matter if your dad left you millions when he died or if you knew who your father was. We have been honed into a machine of lethal moving parts that you would be wise to avoid if you know what's good for you. We will not be intimidated. We will not back down. We've seen war. We don't want war. But if you want war with the United States of America, there's one thing I can promise you, so help me God. Someone else will raise your sons and daughters. Our military should not be mistaken for...
So 50 shared that. Diallo's homegirl who about to beat him up shared that. And
oh wait, I wanted to show that. No. I wanted to show that part of it though, so people could see. I just wanted to leave that up on the screen. So you got 50 Cent saying he said some cold-blooded shit, man, and meant every word he said. Hashtag Branson Cognac. What does that have to do with anything? Okay.
You're gonna sell liquor.
Then Diallo got to come in here and say wankster shit. Geechee got to come in here, more black trash celebrities celebrating genocide and suffering of the black and brown world. And you instigate. So, I thought, where did she show up at?
It's on her own post because she posted the same
she
video.
Didn't post it. Oh, she didn't post because, I thought Diallo got into it with her here.
No, on her post because she posted the same video.
My bad. Hold on. Okay. You're muted,
Diallo.
Diallo.
You muted, bro. You muted.
That's that comedian that was praising Tyler Perry and his business practices.
No, that's not.
That's her.
On Karen Hunter's show?
No, not on the Karen Hunter show. It was okay. Okay.
But I did listen to her stand up, and she is whack as shit. She's whack. I don't even know how to.
That's hurtful.
I'm just saying. And she was on this the United
Nations. When she go low, you got to go high, Geechee.
Bro, I tried to laugh. I couldn't laugh. I mean, I don't know what the fuck to tell you. I just wasn't working out. All the punches wasn't punching.
All right, here. Well,
yeah, she came from my neck.
I'll just show this part right here.
But
that you all sent. So Diallo said, and this coons thing you do is hilarious. You coons don't even recognize that you're seen as the enemy too. And then she responded, "Yo mama." And Diallo responded, "Actually, despite all her faults, my dear mother is not a warmongering pro-fascist American patriot. So not my mama, just you and other coons."
Hey, Diallo, the damn nerd that you had to argue with. He started using big ass words. Shit. Like, nigga, what are you talking about?
No, in fact, that's not appropriate to describe my mother because my mother is in fact quite the opposite of that. And you are in fact a coon.
According to the definition and the epistemological framework needs to be this.
Right.
Like,
the etymological roots of warmongering.
I've seen dozens of people share that post, black folks. And you see what she put there, like, I'm so hyped. I'm so hyped up.
Yeah. Yeah, she did. She said she was so hyped up and impressed. But the first thing I thought of was it's factually either inaccurate or at best in need of some amendment. This idea, so this super powerful, well-honed military that takes 20 years and trillions of dollars to turn Afghanistan right back over to the people they claimed they would fight to take it away from in the first place. I mean, is that where we're at? Like this is the same military that hasn't won a war and when, and picks on the most defenseless, non-combative. So what would we claim in Panama? We claim Grenada. I mean, like, what is the
Haiti
hype?
a few times.
Haiti a few times. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, so, like, I mean,
and they've held on to Guantanamo Bay.
You're right. My bad.
They've held that territory.
So I don't know if y'all saw
that well-honed, incomparable machine. You're right.
So recently,
but let me give white folks credit. Can I play the Caucasus Mountain cave dwelling devil's advocate?
this guy. Sure, go ahead.
Because we can talk about U.S. military failures, but Del Jones said white folks are more deadly at the negotiating table than they are in the battlefield.
That's
fair.
So even though they lose a lot of wars, unfortunately, they do win the peace.
Oh, you're right.
And that's why
that's a good point.
So I think we would do more to talk about how they win the peace as opposed to how they lose the war. But you're right in everything you said. You know, this big bloated murder machine.
Had a CEO stand up there.
Exactly.
And talk about, if y'all want that smoke, we gonna public policy your ass at the
exactly.
We gonna
they should have had a World Bank or IMF official. No, World Bank or IMF official. And I think people take for granted the pen is mightier than the sword. That is not just a saying. That is a factual, demonstrable assertion.
So that remind me of there was when I think I was a senior in high school. There's a school called Hanahan in Charleston that football team, they beat Academic Magnet by like 100 points, right? And Hanahan took their starters out like after the first 2 touchdowns. And they beat Academic Magnet 100 points, right, in football. And when they was walking off the field, one of the white boys on Academic Magnet said, "You can win this game now, but you'll be working for us next year."
Oh, no, please. I am the product of 2 of this country's finest Quaker establishments. That was the consciously expressed attitude regularly, even among the reprobates with their cocaine diets and rehab vacations. They already knew it's a wrap. It don't matter how bad I do in this class or how many cars I wreck or how many drugs I get caught with. You gonna be working for me. It don't even matter, Jared, that you mixed and in the same room with me. You ain't got this. You're gonna be right. I mean, it was very clear.
Right.
And no doubt they did cocaine diet every spring break. I gotta fit that bikini.
Did y'all
Can't
see
be working out? I gotta snort my way into a size 2.
50 made a comment about, and he posted too about California's bail policy about not keeping people who can't post bail. And 50 was like, "Oh, see, everything's gonna be messed up now. All the crime is gonna go up or whatever." Again, this is 50 Cent who talk about the life of crime and all these other stuff. He had some verses about bail, but I mean, he's all the way to the right. And I think I've been having a conversation with somebody saying 50 Cent is probably not that relevant now. But I'm like, maybe he's not a relevant rapper, but he has shows that make himself still relevant. I mean, I don't know all of them, but I would assume Power and that other show where somebody's paying him as a younger person, his mother's a drug dealer. So like he's constantly in the public eye and gonna push himself into a Tyler Perry status, but he's further with his militarist, right-wing, war against criminal rhetoric.
And I think it's tragic that the larger community, the Black masses, really believe that gangsterism, street and hood culture is in opposition or subversive to mainstream capitalism, and the larger status quo. I've been articulating this revolutionary but gangster shit is a contradiction because gangsterism and gangsters are capitalist. They have different tools and they have different methodologies, but they have literally the exact same goal as the elite, as Wall Street, hyper exploitation of the vulnerable populations for personal enrichment. And so no matter how many times, and 50 Cent isn't the first individual who either legitimately or artificially reps the hood, reps the streets, but turn around and goes full-born pro-establishment, pro-imperialism, pro-military, You know, and this isn't even 50 Cent's first time, because remember 50 Cent said George Bush was a gangster. And he had love and respect for George Bush when George Bush was implementing yet another mass murder orgy. And he said George Bush was a gangster. Same thing with the interest of the black elites align and resonate with the interest of the white elites. So even though they demonstrated, they articulated, they proved to us at every opportunity that they ain't with us, it seems that this is a lesson that the black masses, in our rejection of class consciousness, that should be a complement and a partner to racial, political, historical consciousness. Our rejection of class consciousness still have many people admiring, looking up to, and aspiring to be like these black excellence, wealthy, get rich or die trying. And even black revolutionaries trying to court gangsters and gangsterism.
There they are right there.
Yeah.
Toasting it up.
So, I mean, and Ice Cube and all of them, they are these gangsters, these fake studio gangsters and the real street level gangsters. They never been for or supportive of our liberation struggle.
All right, well,
I was trying to load up the clip of showing y'all the clip of the lady who Diallo was about to get beat up by. So give me a second while I look for that. No, I got it, but I'm gonna send it.
Okay.
Who that is?
The comedian that.
Oh! I want to talk about my mama. Trying to play the dozens. I didn't know we were still doing the dozens. I thought we had grew up out of that.
Yeah, and for me, I thought it was always over when somebody brought up your mother. But
yeah,
maybe maybe that was just for me. I don't know.
Yeah, y'all.
But this is
because I used to play dozens, man, and I had dudes come at me.
I never had the temperament for it.
Yeah, I used to talk about people's.
I'm not surprised. Something is not surprising about it.
Listen, I was coping with things. I was maladapted. I was coping with pain that I had not yet processed.
Well, while Geechee's looking at this, anything you all want to let folks know about coming up this weekend elsewhere?
Go see the Nakarema Society by Pearl Cleave. It is a masterpiece of theater. The Nakarema Society is not necessarily an indictment, but it is an insight to the black elite. And when I was just talking about class consciousness, it's literally about the black wealthy elite, the multi-generational wealthy black bourgeoisie during the height of the civil rights movement. And she's just so accurately portrays their mentality and dispositions. Like when Jay-Z, infamous quote, "My presence is charity." You know, just me existing inspires my people. And so this goes back to the 60s, where that mentality grew out of and how it's still with us to this day. And it's literally like a poor family or the offspring, or I don't want to give it away, but it is the offspring of the maid. The maid dies, and the offspring of the family has this very intricate conflict with the elites. And I won't say any more than that, but it is a masterpiece of theater. And
well, speaking of masterpiece of theater, sorry.
Oh,
no, finish up.
No. Yeah. You know, my the Nakarema Society. Nakarema is America spelled backwards. What's his name? Papoose first album, The Nakarema Dream, is spelled just like Papoose first album that none of y'all bought. All you people claim to be real hip hop heads.
Speaking of black love, weren't he and Remy divorcing? Didn't they split up?
Oh. No,
man, he deserved every bit of that.
I think that was just a little, that
was
publicity.
That was fake news.
Yeah, 1920
Why?
I need that couple to survive from my hope, Diallo.
Listen. If my wife gut somebody, listen.
Jared, start at 1920.
If my wife gut shot one of her friends, I'm sneaking out the back door while she sleeps, and I ain't coming back.
Oh, not me. I feel like I'd have the exact opposite reaction. If
I
my
said a
wife did
friend.
that,
A
I don't
friend.
care. I'd be like,
Nah.
that's my wife.
Nope.
Okay, here
Nope.
we go.
I'm like, baby, I thought we was vegan. I thought we was peace. Nah, she
All right, this is
gut
from-
shot one of her homegirls. That's grounds for divorce.
Yeah, I hear you. You're probably right about that. Alicia
Don't
Cooper,
marry gut shotters.
But Alicia Cooper for president has this to say. So let's check this out here.
But I'm going to vote for you anyway. Joe don't know who dead, don't know when it died, don't know how long they been dead. This motherfucker the new Stacey Dash.
She might have said that.
But I'm telling y'all right now, I'm riding with Biden. I don't give a fuck if he 116 next election. I don't give a fuck if he running in the walls, blubbering. I don't give a shit. I don't give a damn. I'm voting for Joe Biden. If he run again, he got my damn. Joe Biden could die 2 days before the election. I'm gonna do just like the Republicans would do. Fake news, fake news. Go right in there and vote for his old ass. Cause what we got better? Shit. Ooh, Kamala. She trying, but she struggling. And she really did help him win, because she checked every box. This chick was black, Asian, Indian, Jamaican, white. She was every fucking thing. Yeah, she was. She checked every damn box. She married a Jewish man. I said, damn, Tiger Woods said he cobbling Asian. This bitch is Clevelandian.
Oh, Jesus.
How much of this are we doing?
That's it.
Okay.
But that's that's Diallo's person who was his kryptonite. She almost gave him the business. She ain't funny, but she can bam. She can throw your mama jokes out.
That that
the whole stand up is like that. It's just dry and punches is weak.
Speechless.
Okay, yeah.
She left us
Pretty much
speechless.
Yeah, she did. That was somebody liked the Cobbler Vivian joke.
Oh,
so she got one fan today.
Okay, well,
comedy's subjective. It's okay.
One laugh at the
just
like what did Patton Oswalt say one time? He said if we both watch a comic that you think is funny and I don't and you laugh, I've lost the argument. So I agree. If they made you laugh, I can't argue that they're not funny. You get.
But I have more respect for people who make a career out of something they bad at than those who make a career out of something they good at. So she got something.
Oh wow!
The rest of us don't have, because she's on stage with an audience. Shit, So actually, she's better than the good comedians because she's able to do something badly that they have to get good at to do. So
that's
for whatever that's worth. That's silver lining. I'm an optimist.
Say that's an oddly optimistic take for us to.
All I do is radiate positive energy and sunshine. I see the good in everything. Earn your laughter. That's a good one.
A-Rod.
That's comedy. There you go. That's comedy.
So what do y'all think? Do y'all think that picture that I sent, or I guess the post that I sent, and what is it, Titan Taylor? They shooting, they start running. Do you think that's comedy?
That was hysterical.
I didn't even get it.
I thought that was funny.
I didn't even know what you were talking about. I don't get that.
I thought that was funny. Did you click the link?
Can you pull it up, Jared?
I'm pulling it up now. I didn't click anything. I admit.
Did y'all see that video?
No. Don't click the link because it goes to his YouTube. It's just more that it's just that meme of him joining the military and running like,
Yes, I think if you join the military for benefits and the military you join engages in war, I fully support absconding, desertion. I see Jared mad about that being a vet,
not mad,
but
I'm
I fully
confused.
support absconding.
No, remember, Diallo, remember, I'm the one that told my gun mount captain, if they shoot at us, I'm leaving.
Yeah, get that bread, get that, then leave.
But what I just don't get what I'm seeing here. So this is he's just running away from. Okay.
See, you old. You got to read the caption and how it's written, and then look at how he's running.
Hold on, where?
Like pretty much they're trying to say that this.
No, read the
Pet Beyonce said they were confused too.
Read the caption. You went what?
They shooting.
See, now you get it, right? You get it? See, I told you. If you don't take the image with the caption, you'll be confused. There you go. It was hysterical. I thought it was funny. Okay. I think more of this media, more of these anti-militarism desertion memes make desertion cool again. Oh, y'all see that one where they were talking about the modern U.S. military, and they showed a firefight, and the enemy threw a grenade, and then the captain was like, "Throw it back!" And then the soldier started twerking and throwing it back.
Oh, throw it back.
Okay, maybe. I love lowbrow humor. I'm sorry.
No, I do. I
apologize, Dr. Ball, for bringing such lowbrow blue comedy to this hollowed platform. I apologize.
I just wasn't sharp enough to get it. I just didn't get it. I wasn't paying enough attention. That's all. Yeah.
And he was like, "Throw it back," and dude started throwing it back.
Let's close out with Dr. Umar.
Dr. Fubar. Huh?
Where's the?
It's on Instagram. It's on Instagram.
I don't know why you can't just send me the link. I don't know why I gotta play this role every week.
Send you three.
See, y'all the one that needs couples therapy.
I gotta
Diallo.
Yes.
Then I just sent him about 4 links.
Don't bring me. Hey, my name Bennett.
I sent him 4 links, and I asked him to do
my name. My name Bennett.
Shit.
You asked me to
see
do one
now
thing,
that language.
He said it again. You got one job.
Kichi, what did we say? What did we discuss? Even though you're frustrated, that doesn't justify such violent language.
You're right. I'm sorry.
Okay,
Jared,
good.
I'm sorry.
And now, see, he has apologized to Jared. Now, what's the appropriate? You accept, and
Jared, you have a nice.
Then you admit your fault. See, this is working.
Oh, I had a fault. Okay, my fault.
See, now, Jared, you're putting up walls again.
So I am sorry I didn't have this ready.
All right. Go. Yeah, now let's proceed. Let's proceed with the show. Let's proceed amicably.
Jared, I like your T-shirt. You have a nice T-shirt.
Thank you.
Okay. Oh, right. Okay. Now, it's so progress.
Here we go.
I support struggle for peace, open face. I could give you one like this. The wife have 80 grams in her purse. In the 60s, we bang with Palestine. 30 Jews oppress your great-grandparents. In 64, Malcolm had the spirit of your great-great-grandmama in them. Oh, you go win. I want you to stand over stand. Somebody say, oh, you want the wet? Stay focused, Suki. I think look ready, though. Stay focused, baby. Stay focused. Consciousness over the cookie right now. Politics over the punani right now. Stay focused. We talking revolution. Are you gonna win? Boy, I don't forget what the fuck I've been gonna say. What I've been gonna say. What I've been at too. I think I'm your word. Are you gonna win? I ain't gonna lie, yo. I want that cookie, yo. I'll holler at y'all boy later, man.
Man, I wasn't ready for that. Man, you gotta send me that shit ahead of time. Don't be dropping that shit on me live. And you know Dr. Fubar gonna come see you. Remember he put out a hit list before.
Listen, the brother the way he lost his attention on that damn video, I had no choice. Whoever said whatever, it looked like Suki was trying, get it down.
How did that Fubar Sukiana collab work out? Where did that go? What happened with that? Just a photo op and nothing more?
Be honest with you, Diallo, I'm gonna just be 100% honest. When I was thinking about the Black Love Summit, I was actually going to exclude you and have Umar and Jared, but we couldn't. Him and Suki they on their little hiatus. So, but yeah, I think they still going strong. Yeah,
I don't think they going strong. I think it was a summit. It was a meeting of the minds because Suki got a man.
Well, what that man got to do with him? Y'all just said when you know
because Dr. Fubar would not never violate the sanctity of the black family. He's a whole proponent of strong black families.
Well, love it. Is she on to something? Are they Umar about to be on Loving Hip Hop or something?
Is he in Miami?
I don't know, but he'll go there for that show, so he can.
If he is on Love and Hip Hop, I will watch. I will watch.
Dr. Umar is in Wilmington, Delaware.
Well, he will go down
sleeping on rocks.
On a plane.
He would go down to
absolutely watch that show if he goes on there. That would be must see TV. I'm not even gonna front. I would be lined up waiting for every episode. I'm not even playing. I absolutely would. I think it would be incredible to see him in an unscripted television series with a bunch of other couples and attempts at couples.
Umar
was on Housewives of Atlanta?
Send us the link. I ain't never know that.
Oh, stop
Dr.
playing.
Fubar.
Because that's better than Killer Mike being on Billions. And I thoroughly enjoyed that.
Dang.
So yeah, I had no idea. If Umar's been on Housewives of Atlanta, I got to see that. I got to see it.
Well, they might have invited him to speak or something, and they filmed him at his lecture or something. I know he wasn't like talking to the camera.
He wasn't like an actual. I'm talking about. No, I want him to be an actual cast member, talking about his method. I don't know whatever they do on that show.
I'd rather see Umar in a scripted fictional role, like as a revolutionary Pan-Africanist who's opening a school. I'd love to see that science, maybe in the Marvel universe or some other science fiction universe.
So, I mean, I know real quick though.
In an alternate dimension where he took money and opened the school, and that alternate dimensional fantasy, sci-fi, that's the kind of stuff I'm into. Y'all like the drama. I like science fiction and fantasy movies. Everybody has their preferences.
That's terrible. Diallo, so seriously, by the way, my I'm trying to get you and my brother to have coffee. I keep forgetting to mention that. So I gotta
organic oatmeal lattes. I do not drink coffee, my brother.
All right. I know he knows Chicago well, so we'll have to figure that out.
Yeah, man, make it happen.
Okay.
My wife only lets me have coffee on Saturdays and Wednesdays. I only get coffee 2 days a week. So but if I'm invited out, if it's something necessary, then I can have an extra coffee day.
Okay. All right, good people. I feel like we put in a good shift. That was a lot of fun.
Because we glossed over that part in Black Love. All the things you can't do no more.
Come on, bro. We trying to
all the regulations.
We trying to sell relationships.
But they're for our good. They're
okay, yeah, all right.
Good.
Yeah,
we gotta be regulated. DJ B Love in the building.
You sit down at the Xbox, or she hear you opening the package. You gonna eat that whole sleeve of cookies? Getting real. Oh, we still live. I'm sorry. Yeah, Black Love. Right on, brothers. Yeah, love and commitment. I thought you didn't already click the button. Yeah, right.
This guy.
So
Shout out to Dr. Mingo who didn't come in and punch him in the back of his head for that foolishness.
No, please. I'm way ahead of y'all. Our internet is down today, so she couldn't watch it, first of all. And then I will go block all the links and notifications, go turn those off. She'll never see this. Yeah, I've been in this relationship for 22 years, man. I'm way ahead of y'all. I be navigating this relationship, so notifications will be deleted. She ain't gonna see none of this.
Yeah, we got to save some of the game for the next episode.
I'm sorry. Yeah. The game is to be sold, not told. If y'all paid Tariq Nasheed for advice, y'all gonna pay me for any future love advice. I ain't talking about it.
In all seriousness, I did forget to put this in our run sheet, but I did see the trailer for his forthcoming anti-Pan-African hip hop history documentary.
Tariq,
yeah. And it looks like it's very well produced. He looks like he got in touch with a lot of the still living luminaries from past generations, all to make the point that no Latinos, ain't no Africans had nothing to do with this hip hop history. No Jamaicans, ain't no West Indians. Nah, this is straight Black America.
Yeah, I mean, you ever been to the Bronx? You ever seen a Puerto Rican? You ever seen an African immigrant anywhere in New York? A West Indian? Have you ever there's no beef patties and cocoa bread on the East Coast?
Ain't no diaspora in New York, my man.
Case motherfucking closed.
And every Black family in New York came from New York. And
you'd be hard pressed to find an immigrant. Ain't no mangoes in New York. Say what you talking about.
But I will say, if the trailer is an indication, the joint is going to be a problem because it's very well produced. Whoever hooked it up for him, unless he's got them skills, they put this joint together. So
everybody send the chat $2.56 because in $2.56, 2 hours and 56 seconds, we got through the run sheet. Shout out to Jared and Diallo for allowing us to get to. So everybody got put $2.56 in the.
At least hit the like button, share, subscribe, join the Patreon. All the links are in the show description. Come on back tomorrow. We got Saturdays with Renee. Sunday got Hiram Rivera coming on to talk about his experience in the West Bank and in Palestinian solidarity. Got Ear Doctor coming back, I believe, with Sundays and all this stuff happening. So hit the bell and make sure you got everything, and you don't miss anything.
All right.
We'll catch you next time here on Earn Your Liberation.
Thanks,
Peace.
Earn Your Liberation. Peace, y'all.
You got to earn your liberation.